Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another live stream, and this one, it is the start of the British and Irish Lions tour for 2025. Now, they will not be playing the Australians, nor will it be an Australian team that they face off against here. They have got none other than Los Pumas at the Aviva. It is their warm-up game before they head south. But the thing is, this is a game where they come in as heavy favourites, and the Pumas would love nothing more than to cause that upset before they have to get on that plane. It's a long time to think about it if Argentina get the victory here, which is exactly what the Pumas will be aiming to do. Looking through at the British and Irish Lions lineup for this contest, it is Ellis Genge in the front row alongside Luke Cowan-Dickey, I should say, and Finlay Bealham as the number 3. Maro Itoje, the captain, as the forward. Ty Burns slotting in as the number 5. So far, England and Ireland working together in this 4-back. Tom Curry as the number 6, Jack Morgan, the Welshman, as the 7, and Ben Earl slotting in as the number 8. Alex Mitchell and Finn Smith, the 2 men for England, starting in that 19 combination. Bundy Aki and Sione Tuipulotu. Now, that is a midfield combo that has been talked about a lot throughout this week. Pure power for both of those individuals. But the question is it too much of a good thing having those two together in the midfield? We are soon to find out. But Aki back for another British and Irish Lions tour. Tuipulotu, big opportunity for him in that number 13 jersey. In the back 3, it is Duan van der Merwe, who played the most minutes out of any Lion throughout the South African series. Tommy Freeman at number 14, and Marcus Smith slotting in as the number 15. So we've seen a little bit of the reshuffle every once in a while for England over this last year or two, involving Marcus Smith moving to 15 rather than in that number 10 jersey. But in the British and Irish Lions tour, perhaps he is going to be the guy that they go to for 15. Looking through our Argentina in a short moment, we have got, do you think the Springboks will win against the Barbars? They should win up against the Barbarians, but it is always hard to know what this Barbarian side is going to look like, and also what the Springbok selection is actually going to be like. I know that Rassi said that he wants it to be relatively strong, and they aren't going to go into that game taking it too casually. So, yeah, hopefully it's a very strong lineup, and we get to see a great game. Not sure the Lions are heavy favourites. Only met once before in 2005, and it was a draw, says Akaris. Well, currently in the betting odds, Argentina are $6 underdogs heading into this contest. So, in my eyes, that is considered quite the favourite compared to something like a Super Rugby final, which is pretty much sitting 50-50 at this stage. But in terms of the odds makers, they have got the British and Irish Lions as the favourites. But I guess maybe looking at it from your perspective, you could say that it's incorrect. But looking through Argentina's starting lineup, it was Mako Vivas in the number 1 jersey alongside Julio Montoya and Joel Scalavi as the number 3. Franco Molina alongside Pedro Rubiolo in the locking duo. Now, you could say that they're missing a couple of their guys that they would like to have in terms of those Argentine locks, but still a very handy combination for the Pumas heading into this one. Pablo Matera as the number 6, Juan Martin Gonzalez as the number 7, and then Joaquin Oviedo starting in to close out this Argentine 4-back. Garcia at number 9 with Thomas Albanoz as the 10. Picardo in the midfield alongside Lucio Cinti, and then Inacio Mendy out on one wing, Rodrigo Isgro out on the other, and Santiago Carreras as the number 15. We have there the Lions have played about 8 times against Argentina. They've taught Argentina 3 times, says Giddy Giddy. And what is the difference between British and Irish Lions? What is the difference between British and Irish Lions? As in, like, in the name, because it's pretty much just combining all of the sides, which is also in the logo. As you can see, it's got England, Scotland, Ireland, and Wales there. And we have got their greeting sandwich from freezing, wet, Cape Town, raining again, says Roof there. And I think the Lions has taken it by 10 points difference. I just think the bench of the Lions will be too strong for Argentina, says David. And that is probably the perfect time for us to put up the benches of these two sides for the British and Irish Lions. They've got Ronan Kelleher, Pierre Schoolman, and Tyke Furlong in their number 18 jersey. So a couple Irishmen and the Scot in that number 17. Scott Cummins in the number 19 jersey, with the youngster Henry Pollock getting the chance at number 20. Thomas Williams, Elliot Daly, and Mac Hansen as the number 23. For Argentina, it is Bernasconi as the number 16, Winger as 17, and then Correa Marchetti as the number 18. Santiago Rondona at 19 with Moro as 20, and Benitez Cruz, Matias Maroni, and Santiago Cordero as the number 23. We have got there, what does Barbeans mean? I think you're trying to write Barbarians, but you did put Barbeans last time too. But yeah, the Barbarians, it's pretty much a side made up of any international player. In fact, you don't even have to be an international to be in the Barbarians. It's pretty much a side that's made up to just face someone, I guess. It's a very hard one to describe, but it's pretty much just anyone can be eligible. They can pick random guys from random countries and give them a chance for the Barbarians. Normally it's based off who the coach is. You normally see a lot more players from that nation, and Pollock will get a try as a Lion, surely, right? If he doesn't get one in this game, I would say it wouldn't be too far away. Like, I do see them using him throughout those games up against the likes of a Western Force, maybe the Brumbies, and potentially a couple other games. So I'd say he's going to get one this year. It's just whether or not he gets one in this game, or whether he has to wait that little bit longer to be able to get it. I'm sure the bookies are really wrong. Let's get this straight, though. The Lions have been together for about 6 days. They're missing at least a third of the full squad, says Akaris, and Argentina have not played an international game since November last year. So you'd have to also assume that they'll show a little bit of a sign of rust. So I do think that they aren't a mile off in terms of the odds here. Like, Argentina, don't get me wrong, they are one of those sides that even as an underdog can beat pretty much any side on the planet when they get it right. But it's whether or not they can get their momentum right from the get-go, or whether the fact that, you know, we've got to remember these guys, for the British and Irish Lions, they've been in their individual side. The likes of Leinster, you know, you've got quite a few guys who will be joining the squad later on from that team. You've got a few guys from English sides who have been together for a while, as well as for the Six Nations. We've seen these guys start to build plans. And I Hamish go Argentina, says Sakabula. And also, I'm still going to back Los Pumas, says Ruth. And I do hope it isn't a one-sided game, although the British and Irish Lions are mystery side until we see them play, says Ruth. Yeah, we could see them come out and just really be structured, be smart with what they're doing. And, you know, it will be intriguing to see how they match up and whether or not their tactics are right from the get-go. Because I feel like Andy Farrell, you know, he'll have his plans. This game's a bit of a makeshift one per se for this British and Irish Lions team, because, you know, we are going to see more players joining them in the near future, but it also gives opportunity for these guys to book themselves spots on either the bench or in the starting lineup when they do head down under. Pumas will win. I have faith in my kitten, says Justin. And also we have got there no Isa, no Fukando Isa, unfortunately, for Argentina. Also no Santiago Shoja Perez. Yeah, the list really does go on in terms of the guys that Argentina haven't got for this contest, unfortunately. No Marcos Crema. And yeah, there's just quite a few more. In terms of Guido Pitti, someone like that I think will be quite a big hit not to have. Are any of the 2005 Lions or Argentina players still playing? What's the difference, says Giddy Giddy. And we have got there, can't wait for the Springboks game, says Mohadin, which is of course going to be taking place next week. How's it, Hamish? Should be a good one. Are the Lions full strength? Not quite, but they are still a very handy side in terms of what they've brought out for this contest. We will go like that. There we go. This is the lineup that they have got. Ellis Genge, Luke Cowan, Dickey and Finley Bealham as the front row. Maro Itoje alongside Tyke Byrne. And the locking duo with Tom Curry, Jack Morgan and Ben Earl as the number 8. Alex Mitchell and Finn Smith make up the 19 channel with Bundy Aki and Sione Tui Pilotu. That is going to be a huge amount of power coming at the Pumas here. Duan Fundamuva, who had a massive amount of minutes throughout the last British and Irish Lions tour. Tommy Freeman and Marcus Smith at number 15. We go there, Hamish. I need to sort out my subscription tomorrow. Vodacom hiccups again. I'll never stop subscription, says Ruth there. And what's the point of having a British and Irish Lions team? Just fun. Well, it's a prestigious side that has been around since 1888, is it? When the side was developed. It's pretty much to combine the North, with the exception of France. And then, you know, like, who doesn't love a good tour? It's one thing that a lot of rugby fans have been asking for in terms of, like, teams in terms of South Africa, New Zealand and whatnot. Has British and Irish Lions versus Barbarians ever happened? I'm not 100% sure. They've played some makeshift teams throughout their time, and they are actually going to be doing that for this tour as well. We can see there that they are taking on the Invitational ANZ side, which is based out of Australia and New Zealand. First Nations and Pacifica 15. That is going to be taking place before their second test, although the first test is actually taking place prior to that. So it's more than likely going to be the main squad take on Australia. Then you got the makeshift team going up against First Nations and Pacifica XV, and then you're back into those two other big tests about a week apart from each other. In terms of what Argentina have coming up, ladies and gents, they are going to be playing England for their upcoming July internationals. The first match taking place on the 6th of July for us here in New Zealand, but I believe for Argentina that will be the 5th of July that one kicks off, and then Uruguay will be the side that they face after their English two-match series. We have got their Argentines are well known for their forwards power, but this will be a point of focus for the or will this be a point of focus for the Lions? I think so. I think that for this Lions team, the main basis of this game is to just try and get your fundamentals right so that when you head into Australia, you already roughly know what's expected of you. Can't believe this game is on. I thought it was Sunday morning. It is a bit different that it is a Friday night kickoff at the Aviva rather than being on the normal Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening. I assume that is also just to give them a bit more time to get to Australia, seeing as they've only got a week or so until their next game. I think the real test will be when they play Australia. I think the Wallabies has improved, says David, and they have announced their squad and looking relatively handy for that first contest up against the Fijians. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens when they do go head-to-head. Of course, there's a lot of expectation on the Australians, a lot of pressure as well to be able to deliver. If you do not know the difference between how the game and World Rugby was structured in 1910 and 2005, let's just agree to disagree. I hope that you guys are going to be able to get along, or else you just argue for the full 80 minutes about whether or not Argentina are the favourites. But this one, British and Irish Lions, they are almost ready to make their way onto the field for the first time of this tour. Their first match up against Australia. Spot on, if the Lions can win their set piece and get the bases right, they should win it, says Akaris. And geez, Hamish, you're looking refreshed and ready for the action. I am pretty much the opposite, to be honest. I went to sleep, or tried to go to sleep early last night so that I could be up nice and early. I ended up getting 3 hours of sleep, then couldn't get back to sleep. So I've been up since about probably 2 a.m. New Zealand time. I decided to just do some editing rather than trying to sleep. So hopefully the brain doesn't fall asleep during this one. Some difference weeks make. Scorcher day here in Ireland. Aviva Stadium is a sellout. The question is it going to rain around halftime? Because the last two games we covered for Leinster, where the sun has been out in the first 40, for some reason it just seems like it's almost like a scheduled sprinkler that it has to rain at some point throughout a game at the Aviva. Hopefully it's not going to be the case. In fact, it happened at Croke Park too. They should start with Argentina anthem in the meantime. Here's ARC. Is the game going to be live on this? Sadly not, and it won't be live anywhere on YouTube. And it is a shame because, of course, a lot of people want to be able to see this match. I think it's free to air in a few countries, though. No really hot day today. Says Celtic there. Hello, Hamish, hope you're well. Just want to know where is this match taking place? And I think lost Pumas by 8. It is taking place at the Aviva Stadium. So where we saw the URC semi-final take place for Leinster. They did go head-to-head up against Glasgow Warriors. Now, of course, some of the Glasgow boys are going to be alongside the Leinster men for this British and Irish Lions tour. Not so much for this match. I don't believe we've got any Leinster players in the starting lineup anyway. I think they've got a couple off the bench in terms of Furlong and Ronan Kelleher. The Pumas in the changing sheds getting ready to go. I cannot see Argentina winning this one. And also we have got there, I've made peace with the Bulls losing. I mean, not the way we lost, says Sakabula. Yeah, it was a much more one-sided game than I think a lot of people did anticipate. Like, I wanted to see it be competitive for that final. And to be honest, it seemed like it was going to be up until it happened. And sadly, the Bulls never really got out of that second gear, which is something that Argentina, as well as the British and Irish Lions, they cannot afford to have here. You have to be pretty much straight from the get-go on a roll. There's Alan Wynne-Jones, of course, a great British and Irish Lions player. Welsh international. We've only got the two Welshmen in the whole squad for the British and Irish Lions. Evening, Hamish, says Stu's well. Welcome in. You are doing extremely well. And are you going to show the game? Sadly not. Like I said, no one on YouTube will be able to show it, no matter how much they try and tell you that they can. Sadly, it is only through there's a few free-to-air options, though, I will mention. Like, for us here in New Zealand, it sadly isn't. It is paid-to-air on Sky Sport, but there are certain options in the UK that do have this as a free-to-air option. Can't see the Pumas losing this one, says Albert. Well, they come in as $6 underdogs in this contest, and Julian Montoya comes into this match with a black eye by the looks of it. Might have taken a bit of a knock in the pre-match training session. We have got the I hate rain with rugby, can't play running rugby. Then they start to kick every time they get possession. Might as well be soccer then, says. And although the thing is, like, rugby is one of those games that you have to adapt to the conditions, and some sides are better at adapting to rain than others. And, I mean, it's one of those ones that you just have to be ready for no matter what. Like, you could think that you're going into a completely dry game, then randomly it could rain, and then your tactics completely change, and they have to, as, of course, that slipperiness is a bit of a factor. It shouldn't be in this game, though. Nowhere in Scotland to watch for free. Sky Sports for us as well, says SPM. Good evening, Hamish, says Flesh, and welcome in. If you are doing extremely well, so my bets are all for Argentina to have a good day, not win, but not lose by more than 14 points, says on the right. And where is the game played? It is being played at the Aviva Stadium in Ireland. Yet, sadly, because of Leinster making it so far in the URC, of course, a big congratulations to that side for winning it. It means that we've actually got less Irish players in this British and Irish Lions side than probably first anticipated. Namibia versus Italy next Friday. In Namibia, looking forward to some live international footy, says Roger. I've been looking around to try and find where to actually watch that game. I think Rugby Pass is normally the safe bet when it's an international that is very hard to find. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see whether or not we are going to be able to do that one. Hopefully we can do some sort of coverage for it. Nonetheless, two sides making their way onto the field. The fireworks have already been lit off. It is a really nice afternoon at the Aviva for this one. Or sorry, early evening, I should say, for this matchup. You can see the two sides lining up. And we have there, why did your mother leave out David Arvelli? She felt he wasn't good enough to make it into her squad. But, yeah, we'll have to wait and see whether or not she changes her mind. But she probably won't, I will say. A good thing they're not playing here. It's horrible weather in Cape Town, says Ruth. And remember, Argentina beat New Zealand and South Africa last year. They are in the top 5. Don't underestimate them, says on the right. Yeah, I think the biggest concern for Argentina will be the fact that they haven't played international rugby together for 7 months. Whereas a lot of these guys, the likes of the English internationals, the Irish internationals, Scottish, it's only been about 3 months since their last contest, plus they've been playing together in their respective competitions. Will you do all the Springboks games? We are hoping to. I believe the Barbarians one will be shown here in New Zealand. And also, good evening from Buja. Says, give you welcome in. We have got the Argentine national anthem playing at the moment at the Aviva. Looks like quite a few Argentine fans have made the trip to be able to attend this one. Do you have a memory of the last time these sides played? Were you about 5? I don't think I would have actually watched this game, to be honest, the last time they faced off. But yeah, it was a little while ago. I would have been about 5 or 6. And happy to see someone finally recognising Daniel Rona as an AB's prospect, says Barefoot. The big thing is going to be, though, whether or not Scott Robertson recognises him as a possibility. Like, he's a great player, and I do think that he would do well in that 13 jersey, but is Razor going to take that risk, or is Razor just going to go for his safer option, I guess, in Ioane? I hope Rona gets the chance, though, but this is the British and Irish Lions starting lineup, ladies and gentlemen. Alice Genge, Luke Cowan, Dickey, and Finlay Bilham will be there as the number 3. Itoje and Byrne in the locking duo with Curry, Jack Morgan, and Ben Earl slotting in as the number 8. Alex Mitchell and Finn Smith as the 19 combo with Bundy Aki and Sione. Tui Pelotu, that is a huge amount of power to have in the midfield, ladies and gents. Duan Fundermerva, Tommy Freeman, and Marcus Smith as the number 15 for the Argentines. A few notable names in there, still missing quite a few of their international players, though, and the reason behind that is because the top 14, it is still going on, which does mean that certain players were unable to get out of their contracts. So it means that they have had to make a few little switches compared to what they would have liked. But I think that loose forward trio of Pablo Matera, Juan Martin Gonzalez, and Joaquin Oviedo will definitely be one to watch out for. Julian Montoya in their number 2 jersey Also the skipper with Ignacio Mendy, Rodrigo Isgro, and Santiago Herreras as the number 15. We have got there, damn, these Pumas look angry, says Albert. And also, I wasn't born when they last played, says SP. And also, good morning, Hamish. How are we? So you're doing very well, mate. Hopefully you are also keeping well and excited for this match, as well as the Super Rugby final, of course, just around the corner from taking place too. That centre pairing is evil, says Ashley. It is very powerful for the British and Irish Lions. And like in terms of pure power runners, I can't think of a combo for the Lions that they've had like these two for quite some time at this level. Just 7 months not playing together mean much. They're all super professional and know what they are doing. So he's on the right. I would say it does to a certain extent. We always see a bit of rust for sides when they haven't played for a while. And I do think we'll see that for Argentina. I think second half they'll come right into it, but it may take that little bit longer to be able to find their feet from the get-go. I reckon Rona will have to go through Māori ABs first. Quite possibly I will have to do that route. And I do like the fact that the Māori All Blacks are playing 2 games early, as it does mean any replacements could really, make their way in there. S4C are also showing this on their YouTube channel. Are they? That is massive if they are. I wonder if that's only available. Oh, no, there it is. They are. Fair play. So hopefully they do end up doing that throughout the whole. Well, they probably won't do it throughout the whole of the series. But if they did, that would actually be pretty awesome. But Argentina kicking this one off from left to right, and we are underway for the first match of the British and Irish Lions tour. Nicely taken by Tyke Byrne. Finds himself about 35 metres out from his own goal line. Which Scottish player do you think is missing from this lineup? Says on the right. Are we talking about who's not in the squad at all, or just who you'd like to see in there? We've shown the Namibia-Italy game. You'll see me with a big Kiwi lad sign. Says Roger. Now, ball available for Joaquin Oviedo at the moment, sitting about 40 metres out from the line. Argentina trying to bust their way through. Now, short side, Garcia. I think for Argentina, just getting their hands on the ball early. Try and avoid some of that early attack and pressure that we'll see from the British and Irish Lions. Bring back the tie, says Dennis Wilson. It will be back later on today. Box Mordiego, the Pumas, says Titanium, and 2 homegrown British players at 12 and 13 for the Lions. CS Sports Unfiltered. The way I look at it is they're eligible, so they're in there. Garcia going with the sniping run, tries to pass off, but Byrne manages to take it, and already it looked like his number on his back started to fall off, but I think it's just the font that they've used. Nice take at the back from Thomas Albanoz now. Going back infield, and the Pumas will kick it down the middle of the park. First try, Hamish hat-tricks. I think first try of the match, I'm actually going to go with Marcus Smith, and not just because he's got the ball in hand at the moment. And the Northerners saying All Blacks poach players from the islands. Aki looks great in red. Says Jake Toa, nice little kick in behind. And nicely taken. Yeah, I've seen a little bit of the back and forth that's been going on. Joe Schmidt mentioning about the southern centres, but then Joe Schmidt was the man who gave Bundy Aki his first British and Irish Lions cap. So he kind of created that beast in that regard. Alex Mitchell now rolling the ball back. British and Irish Lions going for a bit of the territory game here, but nicely taken under the high ball for Santiago Herreras. He's playing at number 15 in this contest. And greetings from Arania. Hamish says good, hard welcome in. Now, nice pass across. Good gives you authority. It really doesn't, though. People still talk smack to me whether I've got a tie on or not. In fact, I normally get more stick for wearing a tie. Now, Thomas Albanoz kicking high again, waiting for this one to come down. Rodrigo Isgro managing to slap it back onto the side of Los Pumas. Not sure how correctly he joined that maul, or the ruck, but it's going to be play on. Backline movement here for Argentina. Joaquin Oviedo. They've got numbers on the outside here. And Ignacio Mendy holding the ball in one hand, cuts back inwards, but he's tackled low by Tommy Freeman. 10 metres out from the line, but the Pumas having a great start to this matchup. Luke Cowan-Dickey looking for the steal. Can't get it now. Passed across to Franco Molina. Now let's go. The Pumas says, "Ghetto gang. Your Spanish accent is great. Are you part Argentina?" I am not, no. I learnt 3 words of Spanish a while ago. Did you say this game is live on YouTube? Yeah, it's on S4C. Their YouTube channel by the sounds of it from Fleshin. And yeah, Smith made me chuckle at that comment. says Fleshin. 5 metres out for the line. No, pick and go from Julio Montoya, and that's going to be a penalty advantage now, going the way of Argentina, and they will go back for the initial penalty. Now, the big question is, do they go for the 3, or do you go for the corner, or maybe a scrum? Try and get that early try. This game is, in some regards, an exhibition match. So it's not going to affect your rankings. But it looks like Argentina, they're going to take the safety of the 3 here. The amount of people with Lions jersey in Dublin City is decorated red. Says zero connection. And let's go the Pumas, says Ghetto Gang. And there as well. But Finn Smith, is he going to be the man with the kicking tee, or are they going Marcus Smith perhaps in this scenario? Just talking about getting that one slightly wrong in the breakdown. And Finn Smith just rushing up a little bit too quick. Which team gave the British and Irish Lions their biggest loss? I actually don't know, to be honest. Like, I know that the last series up against the Springboks was extremely close. Those games going down to the wire more times than not. And it's such a weird one to look back at with the empty stands. Of course, that was during the time of the pandemic. That kick has gone over and is now going to make the score after 5 minutes. 3 points to 0 in favour of Argentina. And Vamos Samic says, Mikhail, we have got there, his Spanish is almost as good as his mum's Polynesian pronunciations. Yeah, I really don't have a lot of Spanish up the sleeve, unfortunately. Probably the AB says, Sakabola, what's your earliest rugby memory you have? Even if it was from last week, says Cool Story Bro. The earliest one I have is going to, I think it was a club game between Canterbury and Otago. And Dan Carter kicked the ball up to me in the stand. It went just short down the front of my seat, and then some old bloke in front of me reached down, stole the ball, and then, yeah, that was literally the earliest thing I can remember, losing a ball to a random person. But that one's going to slap back now onto the side of Argentina. Nicely taken by Maro Atoje. Now Mitchell trying to shift this one quickly for the British and Irish Lions, and they're starting to move this one quite nicely. Duan for the Merva manages to get through the outside centre attempt. Moving up to 15 metres out from the line. Mitchell goes to Smith. Skip pass out wide. Chance here for Morgan, who tried to fire it back in. It was cleaned up briefly by, I believe it would have been Lucio Cinti. Then he's driven into touch. There is a big Argentine community in the South Island. Dan Carter's mum is from Cordoba, same city Messi was born in. It's on S4C, but not sure what language. It will be Welsh, I would say. But, yeah. I don't know whether or not they've got actually the option of subtitles either, but I would say worst comes to worst. If you want to have 2 tabs open, we can try and do the commentary roughly at the same time as it, so that you don't have to listen to the Welsh commentators. Just because, of course, most of us don't speak Welsh. But now rolling maul attempted here for the British and Irish Lions. 10 metres out from the try line. Luke Cowan-Dickie really marching a huge amount forward, although now it starts to move, although it's going at an awkward angle where the ball almost got trapped. Luke Cowan-Dickie got the ball down, and the first try of the contest comes the way of the British and Irish Lions. There is an English commentary option. Is there? As in like a live stream as well that has English, or just like as in, because if that is a way that they can do it, that's quite fancy. I don't actually know you could do that on YouTube and have multiple different like languages available. Aussies will be watching with bated breath. Yeah, they'll be looking very intrigued at this contest. They're just checking this grounding for Luke Cowan-Dickie of whether or not he did drop that ball as he tries to place it. Oh, I think that far hand may have just had it. Thanks so much. My earliest was the 95 final and being bored as hell until I liked rugby in 97. That's on iPlayer, says Fleshin. And you lost it, says Sakabola. It did look close to a drop ball there. In fact, I think they are going to have another look at this one just to make sure that they get the right one. Okay, on-field decision is try. But they are going to look at an angle here which should show Cowan-Dickie has separation. I've had terrible hay fever throughout the last 48 hours, ladies and gents. So I'm surprised we made it almost 30 minutes without a sneeze. Cowan-Dickie, he was celebrating it, but now he doesn't look so confident. Oh, yeah, no, it's only a finger on it if he's lucky. I don't think there's a lot of downwards pressure being created by that hand. And no try for sure. See Sakabula. Yeah, it seems like this one is going to be ruled out. The Argentina pressure only got 3 points. Says on the right. Although they did choose to go for the 3. I do feel that if they had gone for either the line out or maybe going for the scrum, they could have led to the 7. But I do think it was more so that they just wanted something on the ball. All good skills from James Dolman there. Clean up the ball, but it is going to be a goal line dropout now for Argentina. So no try indeed. I've got you on one tab in the game on the other. Says SP, and Smith was diabolical, not including James O'Connor, says Jake. Although it was also because of the Super Rugby final, I believe, that James O'Connor wasn't in there. I could be wrong, but seeing as the Crusaders are playing this weekend, and that was the training squad for the Fiji game that is happening on the 6th of July, it just meant that he wouldn't have time to chuck him in. So I do think if he's going to put Schmidt in, he might end up doing another squad after the early Fiji match. Nice backlining here for the British and Irish Lions again. Duan Funda mover down the wing, offloads now to Freeman, cutting back inwards. It's tackled by Montoya. 10 metres out from the line, big run from Alice Genge. Now Finn Smith attempting the cross kick, lining it up, great take over the head, and he thought about a mark there for a second, Mendy, but instead decides to run it. A lot of space here for Argentina. This game's starting to open up a little bit as we move to 8.5 minutes in, but Tom Curry, I should say, managing to get the steal. Morning, Hamish and everyone. Lions looking quite slick so far. See his studs race. And also still no try, yeah. And a penalty goes the way of the British and Irish Lions. Not supporting body weight goes against Pablo Matera there. Do we have a scrum yet? Not yet. You'll be all right for the Crusaders win tomorrow. Says Stu's World. And who are you going for, Satyrs or Chiefs? I just hope it's close. Of course, there's been the cowbell controversy already, but I do think that's going to lead to a louder atmosphere, which might have been what their plan was all along, to try and fire people up and get them really cheering loud for their sides. Lions looking more like cheaters. So here's Jake Toa. And do the Lions win any series with Southern Superpowers? It's been a while, I will say. Of course, they weren't quite able to get the win in South Africa for the last tour. I think they've drawn series, though, more often. In recent times, anyway. But Finn Smith, it's like he's going to be lining up this kick. 42 metres out. And they are also looking at that 3-point option rather than going for the 7. Lions looking very cohesive, says Sakabula. How did the Satyrs get a home game? They were trashed most of the year, says Jake. It all came down to the Chiefs losing their playoff game up against the Blues. If they hadn't lost that one, they would have been into home final at FMG. But because they lost it, they've also mentioned about this year, it could be the first time we see a side that has lost a playoff game actually win Super Rugby. So, yeah, uncharted territory, I guess you could say, for this year. Why did they ban cowbells? They said it was a safety hazard because of how tightly compact the seats are, which I don't think is necessarily true. Like, I think if they had just said it's a safety hazard, people would have still not liked it, but it would have made more sense than trying to blame the amount of sizing between the seats. And don't get me wrong, like, that stadium is really tight and you don't get a lot of moving space, but yeah, I think you can fit a cowbell in there. People are going to have Bluetooth speakers instead with a cowbell noise, and that's going to be even bigger. We have got there, hey, Hamish, hold the squat position for 5 minutes a day, you're welcome. Says goal story, little kick in behind attempted by the British and Irish Lions, but cleaned up now by Argentina with Albanoz. Look to kick this one downfield. They said it was offending cows. Says Jake Toa. And the ref has been paid to win the Lions after 9 minutes is clear, says Glenn. So the no try for the British and Irish Lions, I would think, would prove otherwise. Just saying, like, if he was going to be paid to try and make them win, I feel like he would have let that try slide, wouldn't he? A good clearing kick from Tommy Freeman. Just out from his own in-goal area. A lot of pressure coming in from Argentina off the chase. Do you think the Proteas will do good in the next T20 World Cup in 2026 and the next Cricket World Cup in 2027? They really did do good to win the World Test Championship, says LJ, sorry. See, it's a tricky one because, like, don't get me wrong, massive win for them in the World Test Championship. Nice backline movement here for Argentina, cutting back inwards and through the defence. And Argentina now score the first try of the matchup. That was terrible from whoever was at the back. It was either Freeman or Smith. But just stepping the wrong way. And Ignacio Mendy, it cannot be underestimated how quick that man is. Referee has been fair so far, says Ruth. And the RGs look real cohesive. Says David the Mold, and Lions not looking great at the moment. Says Aman, although we are still very early on in this contest. Yeah, beautiful backline from Argentina. Oh, it was Duan van der Merwe who went across. He almost broke his own ankle trying to change direction there, Duan. He's normally breaking the ankles of the defenders, but he's just run right across the field and then just, not working out when Mendy was going to be stepping. When the Lions get 3 points, they managed to get it Finn Smith about 9.5 minutes into the game. Can't be underestimated. Couldn't agree more. Says on the right, that kick has missed for the Argentines, but they are leading now 8 points to 3. If Lions lose, there will be many bruised British egos. Says Jake Toll. Yeah, it's certainly not what you'd want going into a big tour, but at the end of the day, if you lose this game but learn from those mistakes so that you win the tour, I think that most coaches would say that's a worthwhile sacrifice. Now, of course, if you can win every single game and also win the tour, that's an even bigger bonus. But, yeah, I do think that... almost an illegal clean out there from Pablo Matera, but I think he just fell over the front of the ruck. But, yeah, I do think that there is a lot of learning that will come for the side. Already a better game than the URC final, says I am nutty. And Los Pumas come on, says Ruth. And they're 2-1. Vamos Argentina, says Sai. Now, waiting for this ball to come down nicely, taken by Tommy Freeman. 25 metres out from Argentina's line. They were looking for the steal, and they managed to get it there too. Juan Martin Gonzalez. Really going to be a danger for Argentina throughout this season. By the looks of it, knock on from Joel Scalavi on the ground. If this one comes out for the Lions, we'll be play on, but we're going to get the first scrum now of the contest. Ben Earl celebrating that one, as he always does. And now the Argentina believe in themselves after that try. Now they will play elite, passionate rugby. Do you think South Africa will win all the games? They've got some, and I mean this in the nicest way possible, they've got some easier games in July than afterwards. So if they didn't win all of them, I would be very surprised. And not many Welsh ones, Jake. And Lions better get warmed up. The Aussies are coming in utes and mullets, says Jake there. And Gonzalez, says Ruth. And there as well. But we are going to get to see the first scrum of the contest. We are 15 minutes in before seeing the first scrum. So that is quite impressive, to be honest, that we've had so much openness. And I think that's actually... Is that the first drop ball? Maybe. Did S4C take their stream down, Flesham, by the way, on YouTube? I no longer see it. I was checking to see if it was still up. Did they get like a copyright strike against them? Because that would be quite bad if they've got broadcasting rights but then got taken down. Anyone betting that Argentina will win the first scrum? If they had the feed, maybe, but with the fact that they haven't got the feed, I think it will be a pretty tricky one. There's a chance of an upset tonight, and Aussies love their mullet, says Xander. And Tough Boomers are pouncing, says Ruth. And there as well. I was happy to see your mum on YouTube for the first time, says Mohanen. And having an early beer for the game all the way from North Shore. Yeah, so a 7:19 a.m. beverage for yourself. That's going to be the advantage going the way of the Lions. Charging forward. Alex Mitchell having a bit of a slip there, but has got back to his feet now. Ben Earl trying to find a bit of a gap. But Argentina doing well on those breakdowns for all you people on welfare. This is why Hamish doesn't stream the game, says Jake. No, not here. But there are adverts, says Bleshin. Interesting. So I wonder what's happened there with the fact, because I saw last they had about 4,000 watching it. So maybe they got told by someone that they had to like maybe geo-lock it so that it wasn't available for everywhere in the world and only certain locations, and that might have been what caused the trouble for them. Mama's coming for your job, Amish, says Darren. And thanks for the early transmission, Amish, says Mikhail, but they will go back now for that original penalty. It's another chance for the British and Irish Lions to add the 3 points if they want it. Springboks have a tough year ahead. New Zealand and New Zealand times 2, Ireland and Paris and France. There's Sakabula, yeah. So it's probably justified why they have gone a little bit lighter in terms of their July opponents, and I don't blame them one bit. I feel like it's the perfect chance to be able to kind of work out what the plans are. Looking like different plan here from the Lions. They've decided to kick this one for the corner and go for the 5 metre line out now. And geez, that's a long advantage. So yeah, studs race. And they have gone back for it. Now the line out chance for the Lions. Looks like a bit of a conversation there between Sione Tuipulotu and Bundy Aki. Working out what their game plan will be. I think either of them you can just chuck at the line and they'll do some pretty good work. I'm watching a VPN on Stan, but I'm sure it will be available on the Irish channel with a VPN. Yeah, I'd assume it would be free to air in Ireland. Definitely for it being a warm-up game. Now pass across. Oh, mistake there. Tuipulotu picks it up. They might just have to check this to see whether or not there was either a 4 pass or a knock on. My son is watching it in Germany on YouTube. Yeah, so I would say S4C got told off by someone who would have said, hey, you've got to have it only available in locations that don't have a broadcaster, like whether or not maybe Sky Sports said something to them or maybe somewhere else. But I'm glad that it didn't just get taken straight down, though, that it is still available for certain locations. I did say it earlier, but yes, the game is free here in Ireland on TG4, says Richard. Okay, first knock on is by Argentina. Second one is by the Lions. Live stream on YouTube S4C. It is behind, so I have timed it to listen to your commentary, says Akaris. Okay, so a double knock on means that the British and Irish Lions, that is their second now disallowed try. Looks like the scrum now second in quick succession here. The last one they managed to get themselves the advantage. Yeah, just came off the hand of, I believe it would have been Justo Picardo. Can I watch in Italy? It may be available on S4C for your Angelica. But there is also a chance that it may be only available in certain countries. But yeah, at the start they had it absolutely anywhere in the world. So I wonder how many people got kicked off it. I thought it came off his knee, says Sakabola. And got the old barrel out fire keeping us warm, says Blues Nate. And Hamish World Club Series, how good. Let's smash some Southern nations, says Jake. Now, scrum feed. Sione Tuipulotu once again, I believe, will be the target. And if he is not, then Bundy Aki will be. Now, straight out in front of the post, Mitchell puts the ball in. And a big scrum again. They've got themselves another penalty advantage. Mitchell taking it off the back. Goes across to Tuipulotu. Couldn't quite. Offloaded to Duan Whanamurva. Now Mitchell, short ball. Goes to Alice Genge. As alive in South Africa, the game on YouTube. I am not 100% sure. I think if it's on Supersport, it won't be, though. Now Tuipulotu pass to the outside. Finn Smith, great hands. Goes to Bundy Aki, who backs himself to get over and does get the ball down. And the first try now for the Lions. There's 6,700 watching at the moment. Says Fleshin there. New Zealand presenter with the thick glasses just doesn't like South Africa rugby to win. He always has a different point of view. I assume you're talking John Kerwin in that case. And Bundy is having a screamer. Says Jake, like in a good way or a bad way? I assume that's like a screamer is in a good thing. He has managed to get over the first try of the contest. For the Lions. Good hands from Finn Smith. Bundy, he didn't want to go on the outside. You could see that he wanted to get over the try line and only just got that one down over the Pumas player's leg. Kiwi just scored, says Sakabola. Slick hands, says Sakabola there too. Pumas tackling defence, awesome. Yeah, they did pretty well to be able to shut down that move while they did. Then just that one missed tackle on Bundy Aki, easy conversion. Finn Smith, he made it look easy. Does manage to get it over and now makes the score 10 points to 8 in favour of the British and Irish Lions. And good try, keeping it tight, says Roof. But yeah, it was about probably 28 metres out on the angle for Finn Smith. Not too challenging for him. Already sitting 1 from 1, now 2 from 2. Got a laugh at the Kiwi scoring for the British Lions. Says Darren. And we have there Sir John Kerwin is full of stuff. Point, says Gerhard. Now kicked off by Argentina, deciding to go with the deep kick this time, taken by Ben Earl, who will try and bump off Garcia. Now setting up for Mitchell to once again go for the box kick. Great try from Toulouse. Says I'm nutty. Of course, the top 14 semi-finals are taking place. Are they happening at this exact time too? I'm nutty. I assume that they're at different times. Yeah, Toulouse, Bayern now, and then tomorrow is Bordeaux versus Toulon. It's a big shame that they don't show those games in New Zealand anymore. We did cover a little bit of it back when it was on. It's 10-6. Says I'm nutty, and likewise my bro Mikhail, Vamos Pumas. I would actually take Bundy over Rico, says Jake. Now kick downfield from Finn Smith. Does get it into touch about 30 metres out from his own line. Just the 2-point lead at the moment for this Lions team. They need, I would say, back-to-back tries to feel safe in this game. The Pumas are a side that love to bring passion. Tackle stats at the moment, 44 made by the Lions with the 4 missed. And then the 31 tackles made by the Pumas with 5 missed. We have there ranked Sasha Feinberg, Ngume, Zulu, Lebok, and Finn Smith based on form. How recent form are we talking, Fiwe? Because if you're saying just the last 2 or 3 games, I think that from the games of the URC that we covered for the Stormers, Sasha in both those last 2 performances was about a 3 out of 10. So I don't think that's an accurate rating for how he's been this season because he's had some absolutely phenomenal games. And Lebok, he hasn't really had a huge amount of game time in just recent contests, as they have been going with Sasha as well as Damian Valimza. Now, ball's there for Alex Mitchell. Did you know Rico has 0 try assists this year? I did. I mentioned it in my prediction video, or my squad video, I think it was. Oh, big shot coming in on, I think it was Santiago Carreras. He's asking for the penalty. Referee's not going to give him one. Duan Funamurva coming through like a freight train, managing to knock him over. Now trying to play that ball on the ground was Mitchell. We're going back for an original knock on now, though. Scrum feed for Argentina, for the Lions here. And Vamos Pumas says Alejandro. Sounds like they might actually check this one. Oh, yep, TMO. Now, this is for the shot that was put in from Duhan van der Merwe on Santiago Carreras. I'm going to get to see this hit in real time as well as in slow-mo. James Dolman walking the width of the pitch to be able to get a closer look at the big screen. I think Carreras, the good news is he's all right. Right, where is it here? Oh, my apologies. That's not what they're looking at. They've managed to find a head-on-head from an Argentine player way back rather than that Duan van der Merwe contact. So what's going to happen here, ladies and gents, is probably going to be a yellow or a red for the Argentine number 8, Joaquin Oviedo. And Tavatanawai has a Brazilian try assist and line breaks, says Jake Toa. Right. They're saying there's clear mitigation, but I'm a little bit worried that they're going to say this reaches the yellow card threshold. Rico is the man, with or without try assist, and he is lucky. Buddy is lucky he made it to the AB, says Given. Okay, it's actually just going to be a penalty only. Was the tackle out of 10? Probably like a 4 or a 5. He didn't really get him too swiftly or too hard, but it sounds like it is just going to be the penalty going against Joaquin Oviedo here. Are we over there, David? Agree with you, but I'll stick to my statement, says Gerhard. And he was an exceptional player back in his day, says David the Mod in there. Yeah, it is going to be the penalty going the way of the British and Irish Lions. They have just worked out where the mark was, so Finn Smithy will be able to kick this one towards the sideline. Good call, refs. Says Blues Nate. Will be just inside of the Argentine half now. Opportunity for the British and Irish Lions to get another try. And if they can get themselves try and convert. It's when you get to that lead that makes you feel that little bit more safe. I don't think anything under a 14-point lead is going to be enough up against the Pumas to feel like you've won this game. Now, ball in the hands of Duan van der Merwe. That is due to the drop ball of Julian Montoya. A bit of a rear error for that man. And Pumas might choke today. So he's reflecting trees. Yeah, I hope that they can stay competitive like they've been throughout the first 24, close to the sideline. They're just running out of space for Jack Morgan. And Argentina now, they have decided to take this one quickly. And also 20 years is actually a long time ago. I thought Argentina won. They drew in the last game against the Lions, says Cool. Now Marcus Smith inside of the 22. We haven't seen a huge amount of him on attack so far. The only times that he's getting the ball is when Argentina are kicking it deep. Perhaps that is tactical from the Lions, allowing Finn Smith to have more of that playmaker role in the number 10 jersey. Massive shot on him coming in there from Argentina. Across to the right-hand side to Luke Cowan-Dickey, who drops his head. Tackled by the try scorer, or no, in fact it was Cinti there, and the penalty does go the way of Argentina. Pablo Matera onto the ball again, wins the penalty for his side. And now, once again, Argentina are in that predicament. Do they go for 7 or do they go for 3? Fair call, the penalty only, just an accidental clash of heads. Says Akaris. And let's go, Argentina. Help me overcome the 10-0 defeat by Bayern Munich. Says Blues Nate. Okay, the referee's getting asked a lot about foul play from both sides throughout this game, which is a little bit of a concern that maybe one of them is going to be checked at some stage in the future. How often does Argentina get to play a British and Irish Lions team? Says Gerhard. It isn't a massive amount, to be honest, and you know, there are always those questions asked of whether or not Argentina could find themselves with a British and Irish Lions tour in the future. I do think, though, in terms of currently, I'm not sure who they would play outside of the Argentine international team. I'm sure they could find like an Argentina XV for them to take on too, but then I'm not sure about the club level sides that would see them face. Which rugby final is your personal favourite? We've done a lot of them on the channel, so I actually probably couldn't tell you in terms of an all-time favourite. The problem we've had with Super Rugby is I think 2 out of the 4 or so finals that we've covered, we've ended up with copyright strikes, so that always doesn't make it very fun. Can play Uruguay as well. That is true. They could have a Uruguay match thrown in there for good measure. Maybe another South African side, or sorry, not South African, South American side. Depending on, you know, who's progressing. Maybe Chile could be another team that they look at and they just play those other nations down there. And if it's accidental, why is it even a penalty? It's a point, but I think it's still, they have to give it as something. Oh, that's a knock on from Marcus Smith at the back. It's now going to lead to the first scrum feed, I believe, for Argentina in this contest. And French coming soon, says Ruth. Because then the other option, I'm just thinking about this Argentine British and Irish Lions tour. You could also, if they were really worried about whether or not it was going to be promoted enough, like you could look at sending Canada and the US down for a match each, just to give them enough contests. And then that kind of ties in your American audience if you're trying to, like, there isn't a huge American audience at the moment, of course, but heading towards that World Cup, depending on when it's taking place, you know, might be something you could look at. Still waking up here, need another coffee, says Blues Nate. And I think this Lions team is more talented than the one sent to South Africa. Most players are already world-class. Surprised Jack Willis didn't make it. I think the only reason Willis didn't is because of his top 14 team. I think he's actually playing for Toulouse as we speak. But yeah, I 100% think that if he was eligible, he would have made it in. And maybe as a guy that they look at as an injury cover replacement later on in the series, if he is then free to be able to play. And we have got their Hamish's final favourite was 2011 World Cup. And strange to see Alwyn Jones in the, I think that was in the stands, was it? Yeah, not playing for the Lions. Honestly, if they go down 1 or 2 locks and the injuries start creeping in, if he's going to be following along with the team anyway, chuck him out there for a few minutes, worst comes to worst. It'd be great to see, and I feel like the crowd would go berserk for it too. Full strength Lions versus Ireland versus Lions, which Irish players who wins? Ireland versus Lions without Irish players who wins? Be interesting because, Ireland. So it's pretty much Ireland versus Scotland and England, with maybe one or two Welshmen in there too, if they're lucky. I think it would be competitive. I think that Ireland, because of their cohesion, might end up doing that little bit better. But it depends on when it takes place as well. Like I said, the ref in the system wants the Lions to win is corrupt. So here's Glenn. So which penalty would you say is the one that you feel was the corrupt one, Glenn? And this contest, big clap from Tyke Furlong on the sideline, enjoying that one. We have there last time they faced, the coach was playing, says Mikhail. At Ireland win, says Jake. And there too, Luke Cowan, Dicky ready to throw this ball in. 29 minutes in and we are just 1 point separating these two sides. Cowan, Dicky goes across to the left-hand side. Big gap opening up. Freeman look for the offload, but it's knocked on by Tui Pilotu. And I feel like at the moment there's a little bit of a lack of that chemistry for the British and Irish Lions. We've seen it a few times now. Tui Pilotu and Aki try and run the same lines. Of course, they are both normally in that 12 jersey, so it just seems to be a bit of a muddle there, and Tui Pilotu's hands definitely letting him down throughout the last little while. France named inexperienced team for New Zealand tour. Says given, yeah, they were expected to, and the thing is, it wasn't the players who wanted the inexperienced side. Like, there were quite a few players who put their hand up and said, look, if my team in the top 14 aren't available or aren't through to the next stages, I would like to play. Ireland act like they won the World Cup. Are you good but not great? Says Reflecting Trees. Is England playing against South Africa? Not until later on this year, I believe it is. Typical French. Where's the French come into this? Because I know the ref's from New Zealand, so it's not him. And we have good there, Adam Marie. Good morning. And yeah, I need two, says Blues Nate, for the coffee side of things. Rolling this one back, it is going to be Garcia. Only 31 minutes in. We've hit a bit of a standstill in this contest. Both sides trying to get that attack going. The British and Irish Lions, just a couple of handling errors letting them down. I'm just saying, a bit unlucky not to get a penalty in that case. Now line out throw for Luke Cowan, Dicky again. Ireland beats South Africa twice in a row. Says Jake Tower. Now Cowan, Dicky. Still got a few great players to come for British and Irish Lions squad. I know that they said Jamie George, I think, was training with the squad just recently. They've also got Dan Sheehan as another guy. Can we not mention France? Mum said they awful, says Jake. And yeah, bloody French, says Cy. Now kicked it behind, looking like it should just be an easy mark. Yes, it is for Albanoz. These people blame the French for anything or everything, even when they are not there annoying, says Cameron. And also DuPont is beautiful, says Ruth there. Now, one's going to be kicked downfield and does go into touch. Sounds like lineout is going to be taking place now. 8 minutes remaining. And it's South Africa is not playing England this year, says Mohadeen. And also Pumas are doing great here. Lions playing narrowly for not many meters, says Studs Rays. And that's the thing, like, we've seen Tommy Freeman with the ball, but it's actually in the middle of the field. Like you said, not a lot of width at times. Still unfun to move. They've tried to use him down the wing, but yeah, I do think that because of those handling errors in the centre pairing and another mistake at line-out time, and the surprising side of that is it's Maro Atoje receiving the ball from Luke Cowan-Dickey, so an English combo that isn't quite firing. But yeah, I think that the handling has really hurt the Lions just at this point in time. DuPont is beautiful with a stepladder and a stack of yellow pages. Look up in Argentina, couldn't come fast enough. Height would be high with national team success, says Afiwe. Oh, nice steal there from Garcia. And yeah, I agree. I think that Argentina are are due to host one. And we have their bloke could audition for the next Hobbits movie. And also, that's the penalty this time going the way of the Lions. A good job with Mum being on. Says Robert. Yeah, I think she enjoyed doing it. We might have to get her back on for an All Blacks squad or a side announcement in terms of who she'd have in her 23-man side. Argentina beating the Lions proves the power of sun and tanning. Says, cool story, bro. And I thought we were going to lose the cricket against the Aussies. Then from nowhere, Markram and Bavuma changed the game. Do other countries still consider us chokers? Still need to win in ODIs T20 comps. Yeah, I think that the common census that I've heard is, like, of course, people are very happy that South Africa got the win in the World Test. Oh, we're going upstairs with another TMO. But yeah, they're happy that they got the win there. But I do think that a lot of people still want to see them win another competition, one that isn't just the one match. And don't get me wrong, like Markram is I think he's one of the best batsmen when it comes to a cover drive in world cricket. I have always said that. And then Bavuma, captain's effort, even on one leg, being able to step up. Don't think we have the money to host it right now, says McCall. And that is the danger, right? We're checking a breakdown here. Jack Morgan. Is that what we're looking at? Just a penalty, says James Dolman. It's probably even... Does he make... Oh, okay. So his forearm hits the head of Jack Morgan, who had his head very low down. It's really nothing cynical from Joel Scalavi. He was just going for the clean out and got half an arm to the head. But they are going to go back, and it is going to be another penalty going the way of the British and Irish Lions. Oh, okay. No, sorry. So it's just going to stay as the original penalty. So they're saying it would have been a penalty against Scalavi, but because they already had the penalty for not releasing in the same breakdown, it just stays as is. DuPont is genius. He doesn't need to be 7 foot tall. Is it a yellow? No yellow, just the continuation of the already penalty that the Lions did have. Yeah, I was very concerned when I saw the TMO coming into it again. Bundy Aki now running up the middle of the field. Him and Tui Pilotu once again very flat. The two of them in the centres. I don't think it's quite lived up to the expectations. Great hands from Rodrigo Isgro. He was out in front, but now the chase coming from Santiago Carreras. That was close to a 50-22. In fact, it was some brilliant work there from Santiago Carreras. Mr. Garcia, 9 quicks balls, and genius what a kick said. Studs raise. Is Demo not getting ridiculous with interference? It's happening a lot throughout this game, that is for sure. And 13 points to 12 to Toulouse. Jeez, that's a close game, isn't it? Have Bayern in that game done a lot better than anticipated? Because I know that Toulouse are always considered as a bit of a French powerhouse for the top 14, but I do think this season at times they have, in the nicest way possible, like I know they're top of the table, but they have looked more beatable than the past, if that makes sense. But Bayern ranked 4th. That is well cleaned up by the Lions. Taken back, so 5-metre scrum now for Argentina. He meant typical French team bringing the B team. Says big ball. And Roygaard was pulling DuPont's and spanking him. That's an interesting image to have, isn't it? And no cards yet? Not yet, no. And hopefully that's the way it's going to stay. And Irish Boomers sometimes play hot and cold. Hope Boomers never partied last night. Nicely done, Argies. Says Sakabully. A really impressive start to this game. And the thing is, both sides have still had their fair share of errors because, you know, there is a bit of rust out there. But I do think second half is when we're really going to see them both start to ramp it up. We have got the come on. Can we avoid updates from top 14 replays on later? Says Studs Rays. Yeah. I'll try my best not to mention it anymore, though, yeah, the chat, I assume, will have the updates as well. We have there on the Pumas line, says reflecting trees. Now, 5 metres out from the line. Scalavi now standing up. Okay, I think Julio Montoya just been told to tell Scalavi not to pull out of those ones. Okay, both men being warned on this near side, Scalavi and Alice Genge. Hamish with the spoilers, says Jake. To be fair, I just read what was in the chat. But, yeah. 97 Lions tour being mentioned there with a man to take to the field. Chiefs for the win. Let's go, says Colin. Do you think British and Irish Lions going to win? They'll have to play a little bit better than they have here to be able to get the victory. Like, don't get me wrong, they've looked all right. They've had some good moments, but there's also that factor, which is Argentina. And the longer you keep Argentina in a game, that's a massive scrum there from the Lions. But the Argentines able to get that ball out of there. 5 metres out from the line. Garcia goes back across to Rubiolo. Is hit hard by Maro Atoje. And good scrum Lions, says Sakabula. And coach a halftime climbing walls. Says Ruth. 5 metres out. Tackle again by Jack Morgan alongside Curry. Pablo Matera, pick and go. To see, he did leave a message for the Crusaders wishing them luck in the final. Of course, he was a part of their squad not too many years ago. Now advantage for the Pumas. The Lions, they were offside. Tom Curry almost tried to get that steal, but would have, of course, gone straight back for that initial penalty. Now getting close. Matera almost wanted to reach out there. Garcia, short ball that time, it's knocked on, and it'll go back for another penalty in favour of the Pumas. Where do you think Australia will be in the rankings if they don't lose boys to rugby league? Honestly, I think they would be a lot higher. Rugby league does take some priority alongside all the other big sports that Australia do have. I know that rugby union comes in as about 5th ranked. But yeah, it would make a massive difference if they had everyone available. Are we getting a suit for the Rugby Championship or saving it for the World Cup, says Jake Toa. I'm not sure about the full suit, but we'll probably have a shirt and tie on for the Super Rugby final later on today, taking place in around 11 hours' time. Looks like Argentina again are going to opt for the 3 points, just continuing that scoreboard pressure as a Crusaders fan. I don't see us winning the final. Why not, David? Out of curiosity, I know that they are currently sitting in terms of playoff rugby 31 wins, 0 losses when playing in Christchurch. So is it just this Chiefs lineup or their form that has you a bit concerned, or what is it? And beautiful work, Pumas, says reflecting trees. And also we got the Crusaders, let's do it, boys, says Ruth. Okay, Chiefs beat Canes from in their previous match, says Xander. As in, like, their playoff semi was against the Brumbies, but how far back are we going for their game up against the Canes? Now, ready to line up this kick. Shot clock down to 9 seconds. So he has to hurry along a little bit here. Albanosba does get it over, and that will now make the score 14 points to 10 in favour of Argentina. Just the 30 seconds remaining here in this contest before we do get into halftime. And that actually reminds me, I'm supposed to send a link to get to halftime, ladies and gents. We're going to have someone on for a halftime chat. So while we are at it, we'll go like this, and we'll go like that. There we go. It's probably good that I've just remembered. Crusaders have lost too much experience, says Jake Toa. Like, they've lost too much experience just this week, Jake? Or in general? Because, like, they are still in the final at this current point in time. Back twice there for Argentina in the breakdown. And Pumas have rocked up, says Reflecting Trees, and Argentina looking sneaky. Says Colin, Chiefs and Crusaders game is going to be a close game. I won't risk betting it. Tui Piloto with a pass on the outside now. Smith to Fundermerva. Good low tackle made on him, and a loose carry again from the Scottish winger. Loose ball, Argentina, beautiful inside pass. Now chance on the outside. Oh, that didn't look like a lot of arms in the tackle attempt from Marcus Smith, but Albanos will run through, and a mistake from Fundermerva down one wing leads to another try for Argentina down the other. And that is quite the statement coming into halftime with 30 seconds remaining. Duan Fundermerva, he is front and centre on the camera at the moment. We have there with Richie and Leinster. They look more threatening, says Jake. Oh, sorry, with Richie and Leicester. Oh, what are we doing here? Are they checking something? Okay, they're actually going to check this breakdown by the sounds of it to see whether or not that ball was out before it was kicked away by the Pumas. I just think the Chiefs are different this year, and I wasn't convinced with the win over the Blues. That's actually why they also beat us twice this year, says David. Okay, James Dolman's still trying to explain to the Lions that he feels like it was out, and that is going to be the decision they stick with. So, half-time, 21 points to 10 in favour of Argentina. Well done, Pumas, says Colin. Come on, Pumas, this is fantastic. Snaffled that one perfectly. The thing is, the plan for Argentina, I think, has to be simple, and that is make the most of the mistakes we are seeing from the Lions, because every time it gets into the wide channel, they just seem to make that error. And, you know, I think that Argentina, they've done exactly what they needed to do here, which is put the pressure on and punish the mistakes. But what we will quickly do is we will quickly write up a scoreboard, ladies and gents. 10 points to 21 at halftime to Argentina. Probably not a scoreline that was anticipated, but a scoreline that I'm sure will be much appreciated by the Argentine supporters. It's something the hemisphere is not to mess with. What do you think of Argentina? Argentina have impressed me in this game. Inacio Mendy and Rodrigo Isgro's pace down the wing does seem to be really troubling this Lion side, and they are targeting Duan van der Merwe's wing. He also missed the tackle that led to the first try of the match for Argentina, so he is under a lot of pressure heading into the second half. Maybe this is good for the Lions' door. I definitely am not surprised. Says on the right, I went out for 2 minutes and missed some huge points. Says on the right, Argentina win. Hamish, I'll shout you Gatorade or steak and cheese pie, I assume that is. Sounds alright, doesn't it? I'm out of sync, so watching live on Esports C and delaying commentary here, hence my silence. It gets too confusing. Says Kiwi. So once the second half does start, I'll try my best to let you know what second I'm up to, and hopefully that will help you be able to time it a bit better. Carlos has said, Vamos Pumas. I did say I can't see Pumas losing. It looks like you're always right, Albert, no matter what you say. When Pumas start to believe, they play elite, passionate rugby, says Xander. And that's the thing, you can't let them have a sniff. Because as soon as you give them that little bit of confidence that they can go on and win a game, they often do. Is this a stuttering British and Irish Lions team? I mean, it's not what the lineup will look like at all for the games up against Australia. It's a side made up of guys without Leinster, I think is the best way of describing it. But definitely not the performance that they would have wanted for their first matchup. We've seen, like I mentioned, a huge amount of errors coming from this side. Little mistakes being made. By the way, who do you support in club rugby? I don't really have a team, if I'm being honest. We've done that many live streams that I've just ended up being impartial the whole way through. All I'm saying is that the British and Irish Lions are lucky they aren't touring South Africa. Says AJ, yes, although the last time they toured South Africa, 3 very close matches up against the box. And then in the end, the decider being won by the South Africans. But what we will be doing, ladies and gents, is we have got a guest that is going to be popping on. Some of you will recognise him as Rugby Itch, and he's got his Argentine kit on, I do see, so he'll be a very happy man with how it currently sits. But ladies and gents, we've got Tim. Right, Tim, mate. What did you think of that first half? Was it what you expected, or did it go a little bit better for the Pumas than anticipated?
It was a mix of both, I would say. A mix of both, because I think the British and Irish Lions, we all kind of expected going into it, like, to kind of just go into, like, you know, using their set pieces a lot and really dominating, which, to be fair to them, they have probably dominated the penalty counts when you're looking at the scrums, but the game has been a lot more open, just because I think the referee, to his credit, actually has allowed the game to be a lot more open in terms of not allowing a lot of penalties kind of, or advantages. So yeah, it's kind of gone into Argentina's favor, and that's when they've been able to kind of capitalize on those wings. I mean, you saw the last play right there; they were able to overturn the ball. So yeah, they're doing very well, Argentina. So yeah, if they can keep it up, then yeah, it should be pretty good.
An 11-point lead going into the second half is certainly a nice one to have. A few 3-pointers, of course, taken by both sides. Duan van der Merwe, what have you thought of his game so far? He did concede that first try from overcommitting on Inacio Mendy. That one did drop the ball in the breakdown, which then led to a try for Argentina. It's a bit of a concern, isn't it? Definitely because he had the most minutes out of any player for the last British and Irish Lions tour.
To be fair, I actually think he's looked okay, actually. I think he's actually had a good game in the sense, like, where his passing game has actually been really good, like in terms of the offloads he's been able to create. I mean, we saw the one moment where him and Freeman connected really nicely on the left wing. So, and he also created that kind of assist there for Aki. So I think, like, he actually has had moments in the game where he has shown his brilliance. Yes, of course, at the tail end, you can say maybe that he did kind of give that try away for that last one. But I think overall, I mean, I wouldn't go too much into Duan van der Merwe. I still think he's a brilliant player. So, but again, it obviously does go up to the wider conversation if it should be him or James Lowe who starts in the 11 jerseys. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens there.
Yeah, of course, Lowe not available for this game due to the win for Leinster. It's intriguing, isn't it? Because one thing that I've noticed, of course, the errors are the obvious one that we've seen throughout this, but the pace down the wing for Argentina on both sides just seems to be tearing up the Lions at the moment. Like we saw that breakaway that led to the last try, and Marcus Smith trying his best to be able to catch up, but there was just no one back for the Lions. It became about a 3-on-1, which I think is something that definitely Argentina will look at in the second half as something that they can use to their advantage. But I do think that having James Lowe in the environment somewhere for that long boot might help the Lions quite substantially when they head to Aussie. But
go ahead. No, go
ahead. You go.
Oh, I was actually going to say there was a player I would actually point out who's not having the best of game. And again, you have to remember in the context, this is the first game of the Lions, so there's not a lot you can gauge on as the Lions tour will kind of continue on. But I would say Marcus Smith is the idea of him at 15. I don't know, like it's one of those where of course they're going to trial it out because at the end of the day they want to see if that's a combination that can work against the Australians. But I just think when you bring in the likes of Hugo Keane, again, similar situation, not available for this game, but when you bring him in or Blair Kinghorn, I just think those type of players are going to make a real difference towards how they kind of shape up in terms of that back line. Because in all honesty, I think Marcus Smith is better as a 10. But of course, the idea around him and Finn Smith is a great, it is a really nice combination to have. I'm just not sure if it's the right combination when you're facing like a Southern Hemisphere team. I think it's more built for when you're going against the Northern Hemisphere because you can be expansive in the way of how the Northern Hemisphere plays. Whereas I think the two Smiths are too expansive, where I think the Southern Hemisphere can actually kind of expose them actually. So we'll see what happens here. But I'm just, again, this is the first game, so there's not a lot we can go on. But hey, I think both teams in their own way are playing very well.
Because Tui Pelotu at number 13, I think, is also a little bit the same as Smith. How it seems like he's trying to run those 12 lines, but he's supposed to be that little bit further on the outside. But yeah, very intriguing second half, of course, just around the corner. If you had to give a prediction of an end score in this game, do you see Argentina holding on, or are we going to see the Lions get a little bit of a rack up at halftime and find their feet throughout the second 40?
Yeah, I actually expect the Lions to come back into this. It's one of those where it kind of just reminds me of previous results within like the Rugby Championship in a way, where Argentina is very good at kind of gauging results actually from the start. Well, if they gauge it from the start and actually are in the lead at halftime, they can slip at times. Like they normally like to come back into the game. That's like kind of what they're more kind of known as like the comeback kings essentially within some hemisphere, because they actually like being behind because they're able to hurt you if you think if it's too comfortable. So this kind of position could hurt Argentina because they've played so well in this first half that they just have to maintain kind of that their ability to kind of just not concede, to maintain their discipline, but also just make sure that they win the territory battle. Because I would say so far the Lions have won that kind of game. So yeah.
Yeah, they've spent more time inside of their own half, haven't they? And then that's when the danger of the counterattack for Los Pumas has really kicked in. So, before we let you go, Tim, we'll ask you, try scorer, the first one of the second half. Who's it going to be?
I kind of want to say a player off the bench for some reason. I just feel like they're going to bring a player off the bench right away and just be like, okay, it's going to be like Thomas Williams or something. But if I have to stick to like a player that's on the field, I'll go with Tommy Freeman. I just think he's a reliable kind of winger to put on. Again, it wouldn't be surprised if they just put Mac Hansen in and replace him and he scores the try. But hey, I'm going to go with Freeman. I'll go with Freeman.
Alrighty, I'm going Gonzalo Garcia. I think we're going to see another Argentine.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right. Come on, Southern Hemisphere. Come on.
The thing is, I think we're going to be having you on after the stream as well. Have you got a British and Irish Lions kit just in case they win?
I do have a British Irish Lions kit. But I don't really want to wear it. It's like I only have it for the appreciation of the game. But you know what? Yeah. If they do win in the second half, if they do want go on to win it, I will then switch to the British and Irish Lions kit. I'll promise you that, guys. I will switch the kit if they do go on to win.
Alrighty, heard it here first. Oh, well, thank you very much for coming on, Tim. Second half just about to take place. And yeah, we'll have to wait and see whether or not 11 points is enough for this Argentine side to get themselves the massive victory. But nonetheless, also be sure to check out Tim's channel, ladies and gents, Rugby Itch. He is going on a hiatus soon, but
exactly.
will be the occasional video.
You can check it out. I'm doing my last live stream tomorrow morning, so that's kind of what I'll say. If you want to catch me there, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. But nonetheless, we will see you all a little bit later on. Well, at least we will see Tim later on. I am still going to be here. Sorry, I just cut him off. That was awful timing. But yeah, he will be here at the end of the match, ladies and gents. So what we will quickly do is we will get the scoreboard back up. There we go. Halftime break is almost over. But at the moment, the British and Irish Lions, they are leading by 11 points. Freeman and Smith are horrible defensively. There's Shiny. Yeah, Smith's been far from his best in terms of that tackling throughout this game. And it was talked about during that halftime chat that we just had that maybe him being at 15 isn't quite the right choice for this British and Irish Lions side. Now, of course, they will have more guys coming in after as they head to the Australia stage of the tour, I guess I should say. How Hamish hung up on a bloke mid-sentence. See, I didn't realise he was going to say something when I clicked the remove button, and because it happened so fast, I couldn't pull out. Take that sentence as you will. Would you rather play top 14 semi or warm-up Lions game, King Horn? I think that for the sake of your team in the top 14 and keeping the peace, you have to play in the top 14. There's no way to get around that. It's the same with someone like a Tom Willis. It was talked about his form just before, but he can't get away from that side. We have got the 100% better than listening to Justin Marshmallow. Says Big Paul, I will take that as a massive compliment. We are going to be doing the Chiefs versus Crusaders game later on and have a nice big build-up with a whole heap of stats. Prior to that match, Smith seems to not have the same maturity or comfort at 15 as he does at 10. And I think the big difference that I've noticed anyway is when he's at 10, there's normally someone else to... Like, don't get me wrong, it doesn't happen all the time, but when Marcus Smith does make a mistake, I do think that when they've got someone like a Freddie Stewart at the back or one of those other fullback options, it does mean that even if he makes an error at 10, someone's back to cover. Whereas if he makes an error when he's 15, he's the last line of defence. And if he messes it up, there's no one else to help him. The Irish commentators on my feed are so annoying. I miss Marshall as a South African. At least he knows his rugby, not like Irish wannabes, says Mike. And opinion on the more relaxed riffing style, I quite like it. A lot more enjoyable to watch, says Critical. Yeah, I do hope that they find a good balance in terms of course, some people will say it's too willy-nilly, but then I think a lot of people will complain no matter what. But yeah, I do hope that they can find that balance where it's not full-time, everything getting checked for multiple minutes. Like, I do think they're trying to limit that in terms of time allowed for checking things, which I think they were trying to do anyway, but they didn't really follow up on it. TMO clearly wants Lost Pumas given a red or a yellow. Pumas are way strong, says Denver there. And no yellow card, you were committed to hang up, says Jake Tower. How much your mustache and supercharged commentary is invigorating, baby, says Roof there. Northern Hemisphere commentators are so freaking biased, it's not funny, says Roger. Who do you think will win tomorrow between the English 15s and the French 15s? I'll be honest, I've seen the English 15 team. I haven't seen the French 15 team. I was trying to find where to actually watch that game, but sadly in New Zealand, I don't think there's too many options for that, unfortunately. But it'll be interesting to see who actually walks away with the victory there. Like the French 15, I would assume would have some pretty decent talent. Probably some of the guys going to New Zealand. I think it's on Rugby Pass. I did mention earlier on that if it wasn't available on Sky, it might be a Rugby Pass situation. But yeah, not too sure whether or not we'll cover that one or whether we'll leave it to the Rugby Pass boys. We have got the Pumas brilliant on counter-attack. More to come second half. Yeah, their counter-attacking play has been really strong. And like I mentioned, the pace down the wing, they just seem to be breaking away. And Ashio Mendy, as well as Rodrigo Isgro, they just don't seem to be able to be caught. Rugby Pass stream is dead, says RJ O'Connor. Because who would they have commentating the French versus English game? I'm not actually too sure who would be in the box for that one. I don't think Pumas are an 80-minute team just yet, says Lyle. And I think that's a big concern, isn't it? They've got such a good lead, and like Tim alluded to, when you've got a side that normally love a comeback, being up by this much, like, yes, they would have wanted it, but they wouldn't have been anticipating it. Timo still checking infringements in the Bulls versus Leinster game. See Xander. Oh, kickoff, second half. That's right into it. They pretty much went from an ad into the game, and it's going to be knocked on early from Argentina. In fact, no, they've said it's come off a knee, so Tommy Freeman cleans this one up. And the Lions now with the ball in hand, 45 metres out from the opposition line. Little bit of a miss pass from Luke Cowan-Dickie, but finds Smith eventually. I do not see Argentina winning this. Says Enzo. You'd have to be deaf to hear that. Says Medal there. So you're saying the Pumas are like the Warriors? Maybe a little bit. Should Argentina be defensive in the second half or stay attacking? I think they have to stay attacking. I think that if they go into their shell, that is exactly what could lose them this game. They have to take the chances, and that's what they did so well throughout that first 40 minutes, was when the Lions made a mistake that was poor and they saw the opportunity to really capitalise. They did. Rooting for the Chiefs tomorrow, rooting for Argentina now. So here's Denver, and we are, of course, going to be covering that Crusaders versus Chiefs game on the channel, ladies and gents. So if you are new, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. We're also covering the rest of the British and Irish Lions tour on the channel too. A line-out throw for Luke Cowan-Dickie. Line-outs have been a bit of a lottery for this Lions side. Big shot coming in on Tommy Freeman by Ignacio Mendy, who was almost able to hold him up. Now off to the left-hand side, pop pass, Luke Cowan-Dickie spins out of one. Look for the offload, but again, the cohesion for the Lions side seemed to be a little bit off, and it means that Argentina now have got themselves the ball back. Do all these Pumas players play in Europe? Any players playing in the top 14? The ones who aren't there for Argentina, the likes of, I guess there's actually quite a few that we could list, but they are in the top 14 sides that are still taking part in the competition. Trying to sink the game on S4C and the comment on here is too funny, says SP. So anyone who wants to completely sink it, I'm currently sitting at 46 minutes and 59 seconds. So whether or not that is at all any help, I'm not too sure. The pass out wide, Ignacio Mendy, looking for the offload, manages to find it to Justo Picardo. Looks like someone has stayed down to. That is a bit of a concern, as I do believe it is Mendy. He's had a sensational game so far. Who hasn't had a great game as Mako Vivas. His hands have let him down, and he's dropped the ball again. Gets a bit of a cheap shot on Maro Itoje too. Kicked him behind by the Lions. Will go into the in-goal area. And Carreras will have all the time in the world to be able to just force this one down. What do you think about Sean Johnson working for the Aussie Sports Channel? I've seen it met with a really positive reception by the looks of it. It seems like a lot of people are enjoying seeing him there. S4C is at 41-41. 41. So you might have to pause for about a minute for me to then get us back to the right kind of spacing. What happens to Mendy? Oh, he takes the knee to the back of the head from his own teammate. I don't know whether or not be able to continue in this game. Marcus Smith now goes off to Ben Earl, who has been a bit quiet when it comes to the attack for the Lions. But then saying that, we haven't seen a huge amount of set attack now. It's starting to move. Curry, that was an accident. Didn't mean to throw the ball out there the way that it did, but now counter-attack coming for Argentina again. Marcus Smith having to retreat. Pressure being put on by Santiago Carreras. Smith's going to back himself with a nice draw and pass. Goes to Tommy Freeman, who breaks through another. What do you think about Sonny Bill Williams' work on stand? Be honest, it was all right. I didn't get to hear a huge amount of it because, of course, that's a nice run down the wing from Tui Pilotu. Yeah, whenever I have commentary on, I can't really hear it. It's just more for the TMO. So no other team has a bomb squad. I was hoping Lions could pull off a great bomb squad. France do go with that kind of split. Oh, nice run from Doan van der Merwe. Gets it off to Aki. The Lions sitting about 30 metres out from the line again. Still 11 points down, but plenty of time to play. Finn Smith going across Tommy Freeman. Wide cut out pass. Finds Ben Earl. Cuts back inwards. Sonny has the communication skills of a potato, says Jake. And Lions not looking like an insurmountable team. But with a few more weeks of development, it could be quite a different team. Says Razor kicking behind there. Smith just gets it into touch, and they will go back for the original penalty advantage. It looks like the change is about to be made. Mendy will come off, and Santiago Cordero, he will make his way on. At least that's who I think. Yeah, Ignacio Mendy off for the HIA. I'm surprised he didn't have to go off right away. What time are you at again? At the moment, I am at 44 minutes, 50 seconds. Looks like Finn Smith. Lions have opted to kick this one towards the corner. I would love to see Argentinian players in Super Rugby, says Sai. Yeah, it's a bit of a shame we only normally have maybe one or two, if that, a season. I think the last real notable one was, of course, Marcos Moneta. And I think the Hurricanes had an Argentine prop, didn't they? Last year, I think it might have been. Now, ball going to be thrown in by Luke Cowan-Dickey. Nicely taken, and now trying to get this one rolling for the Lions. In a great position, falling just short of the line, but it will be the penalty advantage now. In favour of what is considered the home team, and it's a penalty try. And a yellow card now for Argentina. That is not the start to the half that they would have been after. Santiago a place in. Says Ruth and Bundy Aki. Look overweight and injured. Says Glenna once again. All you have to say, impressive Pumas. Says Lyon Pablo played for the Crusaders. He certainly did. I think it was 2022 or 2021, wasn't it? Maybe 22 or maybe even 23. In fact, a couple years ago. Did do a message for them on Instagram. Pablo Materas, wishing them luck in their final. Would the Argentina national team win the Super Rugby comp? I'd say that'd be a long way towards it. Of course, it's very hard to judge, though, in terms of the levels between the two teams. Yeah, this one being dragged down, though, by Argentina. Was that Mako Vivas again? It might have been. So he has had about 3 handling errors and now a yellow card to deal with. What's going on with the penalty try? It was just awarded as a penalty try. So 7 points for the Lions. Nice chase of the kick from Santiago Cordero. Lions now 15 metres out from their line. Great touring fan numbers, it seems, says Juan. Lots of ads on your stream this morning. Painful. Hopefully you get some pingers. Says Studs Race. Yeah, I think YouTube decide when to put ads, so I don't know what it is about this stream that they've decided to really go for it. Yes, it's him. Hamish says Sakabula. And also, we have got their... come on, people, hit the likes. Says Ruth. Yeah, anyone who hasn't already, be sure to hit that like button. Also, subscribe. We are going to be covering the whole tour on the channel. Score is 17 points to 21 after 47 minutes. Right, timer's off again. I wonder whether or not we're going to see some subs coming in very soon. It looks like actually Joel Scalavi now making his way off, walking very gingerly. Penalty try a bit harsh, I'd say. Says Roger. But yeah, this does not look too good for Argentina at the moment. They've just had to make the change of Scalavi. That's not straight from Argentina. The Lions starting to get a little bit loud. Maro Toje yelling about that one in celebration. It sounds like there's just going to be a sub here for number 1, which is Mako Vivas. I believe they only have the one option here, and that will be Boris Wenger. And why Alex Mitchell over Jameson Gibson Park? Simple answer is Gibson Park wasn't available for this game. Seeing as Leinster played in the URC final last week, those guys are given a little bit more of a rest. I think the Lions are struggling since you have a bunch of individuals. They do not know how to play as a team together yet, says Jackson. And that is the tricky part for this Lions side. And that is also why they give them so many warm-up games before the international fixtures. Of course, it is also to give more other sides a bit of a go. But, you know, that chemistry, it takes a little while to build for the British and Irish Lions. You can have world-class players in there, but if they aren't quite on the same page, can cost you. Comeback has started in the second half, though. Need another coffee or crackers with cheese, says Ruth there. And shocking start for Argentina, says Xander for the second half. Now fed in, big push from the Lions again, and that will be the penalty 40 metres out from the line. We have got there, is it not the job of the coach to sort this out? These guys are professionals. It is, but normally it takes that little bit longer than a week. It is Henry Pollock about to make his way onto the field. He's just said, let's go, and slap Thomas William in the back of the head. He's fired up to try and make a statement here. Shout out to the North Shore Prems. Says big ball. Of course, club rugby taking place today. here in New Zealand alongside that Super Rugby final. Have you done a video of the makeup of Barbars to face the box yet, says Gerhard? Not yet, only because they haven't actually fully announced their team, I don't believe. I think we've still got a couple more players to come, or at least from what I heard, but they might be at their full contingency now. A bunch of softies. Back in my day, you played 48 months in a row, make a living, and out of love for your clubs. Says Razor there. And Crusaders to win 1-12. Will Jordan to score, says Highlanders fan, but the ball in favour of the Lions there. And Henry Pollock getting cleaned out of the first breakdown, and the ball almost stolen there for Argentina. The youngster came in very confident, but almost made a crucial error at his very first breakdown. Thomas Williams. Going off to the left-hand side, finds Bundy Aki, and behind was Finn Smith. Now looping through was Tommy Freeman. They've shut him down pretty well throughout this game. That looked like a knock-on from Thomas Williams, but Ellis Genge will go short side. It's weird that a team needs chemistry. You can clearly see fresh teams not gelling, says Xander. And I guess it's like anything, really. Like, sport's a perfect example, but, even just in work. If you're on a team for some sort of job and you aren't all on the same page, it's going to take you much longer to be able to get it done. The Lions, drop ball from Finn Smith. They will go back for the Argentine scrum. Sam Kane and Shannon Frizzell is all I know, says Gerhard. And I do know that, there's a couple others that I saw more recently. And it's going to annoy me. I think there was an Irishman who got announced. So the yellow does not show on the scoreboard. It does not, but currently 5 minutes left of that yellow card. Lions dangerous, Pumas defence, and inside channels forcing errors. Says, Shannon Frizzell. Oh, no, you said Shannon Frizzell. Never mind. I think Peter O'Mahony is also in the Barbars now that I think about it. It was another loose forward that I couldn't quite name. Right, referee just making sure that they are going to be continuing the players and don't need to make any switches. Not impressed by Finn Smith, says Razor. Right, Water has been called off the field. 29 minutes remaining. Still just the 4 points difference. You have to say the Lions are probably at the advantage at scrum time, like the South African government. No one on the same page. Nothing gets done, says Sakabula. Yeah, you wonder how different the lineup will be in 1 week's time. The British and Irish Lions are going to be taking on, I think it's the Western Force as their first opposition. We've got it here in terms of all their games in British Standard Time, I should mention, which is pretty similar to South African time. I think you just have to add an extra hour for SA time, but they are taking on the Western Force in 7 days' time. Then they've got the Reds. Free kick goes the way of Argentina. So they'll be able to kick this one downfield yet again. And the Waratahs, the Brumbies, the Invitational, Australian-New Zealand team, the Wallabies first test, then the First Nations and Pacifica XV, and then the 2 other matches up against the Wallabies close out the British and Irish Lions tours. So TT needs time back in the saddle. He just got back from injury. Maybe bring in Leo Willie. Says Jake. And Aki is too slow nowadays. He's just another forward used to pass. Says I'm Nutty and Omani and Connor Murray. Says AD there. And also Sakabula, except when money gets stolen. Invitational ANZ will be good. Says Razor. Throw in here for Ronan Kelleher, well taken by the Lions. Almost stolen by Argentina there, who actually got the early jump. Now Ben Earl. It's the ball up. Another flat ball from Thomas Williams. Finds Ellis Genge, who's breaking away with a sensational run. Still going, the big man. Moves to 10 metres out. Thomas Williams back across to the left-hand side. Numbers here for the Lions. Smith, that looked forward from Tui Pilotu, but it will be play on just for now. Williams skip pass, beautifully done. Linking up with Tadhg, the difference that a halfback can make, and just seem to be next level right from the get-go in terms of speed, but also a brilliant breaking run from Ellis Genge, which gives the Lions the lead. Tadhg scores number 1 for him in this British and Irish Lions tour. And ORGC Sakabula, good luck to Western Perth. May the forces be with you. And what happened, British score, they did indeed. I did see a medic running onto the field though, so hopefully everyone is going to be all right in back play. I think it was probably the far side that they were looking at there. The coach can have a sound philosophy, a mixed rotations up. However, there's the players that need manifest chemistry while on the pitch. There's Jackson. That kick has gone over, making the score now 24 points to 21. And the Lions found some moves, says Ruth. Yeah, coming at a perfect time for them. But not the start to the second half that Argentina would have been after, conceding that penalty try. Still playing with 14 on the field, we must remember too. I do believe that the change that they made was winger on the field, and that was for Joaquin Oviedo. Seems like even in those breakdowns, not having that man out there has made a bit of a difference too. Sleepy Lions has woken. Yeah, I don't know what was said at halftime, but honestly, it must have been very good from Andy Farrell. Would have got the team fired up. Ben Earl now taking this one inside of the 22 and tries to go over the top of the young Gonzalez Garcia. And Lions, or look like Lions and Pumas all charged down there for Argentina, which does mean that the Lions will have themselves the line out. This will be just the opportunity for the Lions to get the line out right. Get it into touch. Looks like Lions and Pumas are different, or have different sleeping schedules, and look forward to Smith, to be honest. So here's Lyle. Just the 90 seconds remaining of that yellow card. Can the Lions make the most of it again? Great take from Maru Atoje. Looks like they're actually going to run this one out from their 22 rather than looking at the kicking option, although now Williams does go with the high kick. Chasing after this is Tommy Freeman, up and under, and manages to take the ball. I think it's travelled forward off him. It's lost forward, but I think Freeman might have taken a knock on the hip there. Okay, no, they are just calling it as knock on rather than checking to see if he was taken out in the air. Carreras went up for it as well. Although he did just get the ball, or the man, I should say, and that actually looked like Freeman landed in an awkward way. Oh, that can be a knee gone. Luckily, I don't think the knee is the main concern. I think it's the hip of Tommy Freeman with how he landed, but just twisting really awkwardly. And just notice the Neon Lions Pumas transition thing. That's cool. Says Studs Race. Yeah, they are just twisting that knee at the moment of Freeman, trying to make sure that it is all right. Mac Hansen is warming up on the sidelines. He may not be a mile away from making his way on, but big concerns if you don't even get out of the Northern Hemisphere without one or two injuries. And Gonzalez start moving forward. Try line, baby, says Ruth. And also, who would win in a wild, or in the wild, a lion or a puma? That's a good question. I assume a lion would, but then pumas are quite quick, aren't they? They're probably quicker than a lion in terms of speed, so it depends on whether it's like a foot race. Because if it's a foot race, the puma might get them. Looks like Freeman's going to continue. That is good news here for the British and Irish Lions. Although you're also in that scenario, 25 minutes remaining in the match. I don't think you want to give him too many more minutes. I think you take him off and you just go, look, you know, you could have continued, but you don't need to. We've got a guy off the bench who we want to give minutes to as well. So why not just make that switch now? Don't take the risk, is all I'm going to say, because if he takes another big shot and then gets injured, then that's completely on them. Now, scrum feed, though, around the halfway line for Argentina. Looked like a bit of an early push there from the Lions, which did put Argentina on the back foot from the get-go, luckily managing to get that ball out of their scrum. How's the forward stats for Argentina? Their scrum's been struggling a little bit. That's been kicked out on the full, unfortunately, for Thomas Albanoz. But yeah, I think that the loose forward trio have been doing quite nicely. Matera's got a couple steals so far. Juan Martin Gonzalez, I believe he's got at least one and put in a few big hits. And then Joaquin Oviedo was also doing quite well. Looks like Mako Vivas is about to make his way back onto the field. And it's going to... See, once again, when you're Argentina, you look at Mako Vivas' game and... He's had a yellow card. He's had 3 drop balls. Would you not just leave the other guy who just made his way onto the field out there? And Boris Winger? Of course, he hasn't got a huge amount of experience. All that was a bit of a rough pass from Tui Pilotu. Ended up going behind Duan van der Merwe, who was driven back 10 metres in the process of the tackle. Now across to Henry Pollock for his first touch in a Lions kit. Now Williams, great ball to Freeman. Finds another gap. Trying to step his way through. Watching eagerly to make sure that he does not pull up lame with some sort of injury. Short ball from Aki. Going off to Tyburn. The Lions are starting to roll here. Across to Marcus Smith. Tries the grubber. I don't think that was on. And it goes into touch. How many games do the Lions play in Australia, says Sakili? That is a great question, and here is the answer. They have got the Western Force, the Reds, the Waratahs, the Brumbies. They play the Invitational ANZ side, the Wallabies, the First Nations and Pacifica XV, and then the 2 other games up against the Wallabies. So 9 in total for this British and Irish Lions team, all taking place pretty much from the end of this month roughly to the start of next month. Or sorry, to the start of August, I should say, rather than start of next month. Oh, Tyburn. Maybe a bit of an injury here, just down on his knee for now. If you're wondering about Argentina, in terms of what they have got coming up, they do not have 10 games, but they have got the 3, 2 up against the English and 1 up against Uruguay. This game's starting to open up, though, with just the 23 minutes remaining. We have got the Lions/Pumas in the wild. I'd expect a travel factor would be huge, says Studs Race. And Boom has a stronger bite force than a Lion, says Reflecting Trees. My house cats are invisible. You never catch them. See his Blues, Nate. And there too, but Gonzalo Garcia now. Kicks it downfield. The one fun. The mover went up for it. I think it was almost knocked on by Isgro, but I think he regathered before it did touch the ground. Now, Albanoz under pressure. Missed tackle from Henry Pollock. Line break now for the Pumas. And a lot of open space coming from the mistake. Trying to kick it behind. Chance here. Out wide for Cordero, who gets there. And he thinks he scored it. They'll check the groundie, but welcome to the Lions, Henry Pollock. The missed tackle that leads to a full field almost try from the Pumas. And watching from Stara Pazova, and great commentary, cheers, says, Justin, thank you very much for being here. We're going to see it now, though. They will check to see if there was a knock-on from Inacio, or sorry, it was actually Rodrigo Isgro, but we'll see here. Albanoz fends off Henry Pollock, and then just the offload going in Argentina. Just the perfect attacking play. And Marcus Smith trying to get across, but once again unable to do so. He's having a nightmare of a game at 15. The Argentines are having a dream. And that dream is to win this game at the Aviva, and they are getting closer. Ladies and gentlemen, you beauty. And Boomer's going to keep taking these chances here. Starts race. Exactly right. It is the Lions' mistakes that are leading to the Pumas' tries. I believe that's now the last 3 tries have been from a massive mistake from Argentina. Will the game between ANZ Invitational and Lions consider a test match? It will not be. No, it's considered as one of those matches like the games up against the Aussie sides, like as in the Brumbies and Reds, etc. As there won't be any rankings on the line or anything like that. I mean, they'll probably say that it's as close as we're going to get to a Southern Lions versus a Northern Lions, but yeah, still a wee way away. That's a try. Pollock can kiss a Lions series spot goodbye, says Ronaldo. Well, it certainly is the try. And yeah, big mistake coming from the youngster who was fired up on the sideline but needs to really knuckle down out there on the park now. Try and make up for that mistake. Welcome to the big time, Pollock, says Sakabula. And that is extremely skillful to do that under such a high pressure situation. There's Razor. Well, it linked up perfectly, didn't it? Every time that they... See, that's a terrible offload from Curry. He's got so lucky that Argentina also weren't able to gather it. But it seems like some of the Lions players aren't on the same page. But this backline needs to be. Sione, he's flattened the bloke. Unfortunately, he is possibly not going to be able to continue in this match. Matthias Moroni, he has been flattened out there. He's getting a bit of attention. Sione Tuipulotu going over to him and checking on him, to be fair to him. And how's it, Gerhard? Says Sakili there, but yeah, unfortunately, Matthias Moroni getting his head on the wrong side when trying to make a tackle on Sione Tuipulotu is like putting your head in a fridge and then seeing how hard you can slam it. And 28-24 is going to, is a close game. Can Argentina keep the fire going, says Xander? It's a big question. Can they hold? Well, that's the thing. I don't even know if you consider it as holding on. Because, we're going to see it now. Yeah, just puts the head on the wrong side, gets his neck crunched and then hits his head on the ground on the way down. I think they're going to have to make another change here. This game's starting to remind me of AB's first loss to Argentina. Says Studs Race. I hope the Chiefs won tomorrow. So here's Raymond. And there too. That was the biggest carry that we have seen from Tuipulotu throughout this matchup. Bundy Aki having a chat there with Ellis Genge on the bench. We see Scott Cummins in behind. He is still to make his way out there. And Vamos Roof and also Crockrell I like. Says Sakabola and Kiwi Lads Commentary rocks. We see there Brian O'Driscoll getting the big cheer from the crowd. We see Jamie Roberts as well. So there's no official cap for this match. No. You get a Lions cap, but you don't get like an official international cap, I don't believe. And that's a Crusaders win, says Reynaldo. Now Bundy Aki getting cheered, and then, Alice Genge sprays him with Powerade. And Argentina needs to change their name to the Giant Slayers. Says David, and this game is not over yet. That is true. Still another 18, or in fact 19 and a half minutes left here. Plenty of time to be able to make the difference. A very dangerous elbow to the head and leading. Should be red card with 6 weeks ban. I mean, in the replay, it did look like, I wouldn't say that it was extended towards the Argentine player. It was just a case of, unfortunately, Matthias Maroni just went in the complete wrong place. Luckily, looks like he's going to continue in this game. And Saturday Super Rugby night today, yes, that is true. It's the Super Rugby final between the Crusaders and the Chiefs. We are going to be covering that one on the channel, so anyone who is new, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. All Black squad also being announced on Monday, and we will be letting you know all about that too. Nice flat run from Garcia down the short side. Kick downfield, Marcus Smith at the back. Now what can he do? Needs a bit. Oh, that's an awful pass from Smith. It's knocked on by Freeman. I don't know why we're not going back for it. I think that both the assistants and the referee missed that one. Maybe hitting the foot instead. Or the knee might have been. Evan Hastings was amazing from Scotland, says Mikhail. Do you support the Crusaders being from the south? Nah. No, not really. Now, a nice take from Elliot Daly, one of the more experienced heads for this British and Irish Lions side. Low tackle made on Pierce Schoolman. Now, Henry Pollock almost went through, but great tackle made from the Argentine replacement, Loxioni Tuipulotu. Tackled there by Rodrigo Isgro. He was protecting the ball. It was poor technique from the tackler, says Lyle. Have the Lions not learned to gel? Not yet. It is their first game in 4 years. Now passed on the outside. Big shot on Tommy Freeman. Henry Pollock now. Whistled down. I think the crowd are chanting Lions, but I could be wrong. Henry Pollock. Again, tackled low and quickly by Argentina. They aren't willing to give the youngster space. Now Elliot Daly goes after Marcus Smith. Skip pass on the outside to Tommy Freeman. Tries to chip him behind, and the mark is called by Thomas Albanoz. What's the try count? 3 or 4? Or 3 to 4? So he's on the right. So the British and Irish Lions, they have got themselves the 3. And Argentina, I think, if they got the 4 or if they got the 3 as well. I'm not actually sure. I can't even remember how many tries we've had in this game. That's pretty poor, isn't it? Giving Hastings long before Hamish was born, and the match is intense for a friendly, says Sarkeli. Yeah, I don't think there'll be too much friendly about it between these two sides for the last 17 minutes. I thought they're chanting, Leinster. That could be it. I could hear I thought it was an L at the start, but I wasn't sure what it was. I'm not sure why they were chanting Leinster, though, other than the fact that this is Leinster's home stadium. Because I think all the players that were on screen were not from Leinster. It's going to be a long tour for the Lions, says Reflecting Trees. Certainly is 10 matches taking place over about a month and a half. Score now, says Mocha. Then score is still 28 points to 24 in favour of the Pumas. Line up throw here for Ronan Kelleher. Goes straight into Tyke Byrne. Argentina have done really well. Oh, that's a big tackle from Julian Montoya. Chopping him out at the kneecaps. Pick and go from Furlong. That looked like it was offside for Argentina, but it is going to be play on, says the referee, and they have managed to take this ball back, Argentina. But what I was just in the process of saying is Argentina have done really well making this scrappy. They haven't allowed the Lions to play a clean game of rugby. It's been ugly. in the breakdowns, but that has led to Argentina getting the ball quite a bit. Nice take from Tommy Freeman under the high ball, 6 tries. So here's Jared there. 2 first half, 1 second half for the Pumas. So 3-3. Oh, Marcus Smith almost through. Offloads to Curry, who has been trying to offload all throughout today, but instead just passes that one to Tui Belotto, pops it up, and again, it is an Argentine who is ready to take that ball. Albanoz sinks the slipper into it. Marcus Smith has to cover a huge amount of ground to get back there. Picks it up, looks to the short side, and gets a 2-man tackle on him. Ball is there again. For the Lions, they're being told to use it, so Freeman pops it up to Pierre Scrum, and they have got themselves the offside advantage now too. And they will go back for the penalty. 3 tries Argentina and 3 tries British and Irish Lions. So here's Jared there. But yeah, just again, another loose offload coming from the Lions that just gave up possession. And every time that happens, Argentina sink the slipper into it, or they go down the wings and find a lot of open space. Wow. Comment there from the man in the commentary box is Finn Smith's had a great game. Thomas Albanoz, great too. Marcus Smith, excellent. I wouldn't quite go that far. I think that he's had a few very basic fullback errors that have led to a lot of open space and try opportunities for Argentina. He's had a decent day on attack, don't get me wrong, but to say his whole performance here has been excellent, I think might be a bit too generous. Now Ronan Kelleher, ready to throw this ball, and it's stolen by the Pumas again at line-out time. Still with their 4-point lead, one more try might almost seal the deal. Big shot from Finn Smith. Now told to get out of there. And the penalty advantage. Someone's not got their ears turned on. It was Ben Earl. And the penalty does go the way of Argentina. That's just a silly one to give away. Why isn't Finn Russell playing? Says, I'm not actually too sure behind the reasoning. Actually, no. Was he in the final last week of the Premiership? He might have that mandatory week off as well, just like the Leinster boys. Now Santiago Herreras. He'll kick this one into touch. Again, Argentina, a great opportunity to get an attack going. Looks like another change is about to be made for Argentina. You're looking so good. Your reactions are superb. Facial expressions. Says Ruth there. And this is Rugby Says Dan, expecting the YouTube expert player ratings for this game to only cover one team. Says Studs Race. Yeah, don't get me wrong, Argentina, I feel like there are so many of their players that deserve a lot of credit for what they've been able to do throughout this matchup. And it has been, that's a drop ball there though, unfortunately, but it did go backwards, says James Dolman. Garcia, I think, has been sensational at number 9 for them. Great runs down the wing from Isgro as well as Lucio Cinti, who have really, it was actually Inacio Mendy. And they've their side in the game big time. We've seen some big hits from Julio Montoya. Ball stolen there for the British and Irish Lions. Matera's been solid in the breakdown. Gonzalez has looked great at number 7. Oviedo had his moments. Elliot Daly trying to sneak through the defence, trying to slap it out of his hands. Was Winger there. Pick and go from Schoolman. Never underestimate Puma's fire. And the days of Argentina being the wiping boys of rugby is long gone. Says Sahile. A kick down the middle of the field. Nicely taken it back from Santiago Herreras. 12 minutes remaining. Kick downfield. That smacked off the hands of Maro Atoje. Is that offside from Finn Smith? No. It's going to be play on. Big shot on him by Albanoz. Straight on the ball for Winger. So they will go back for the scrum feed again. Sorry to ask again. What is the try count? 3-3 at the moment, I have been told. AFI for skills. Nice kicking, lads. And Puma's another one to seal this match, says Ruth. Yeah, I do still think they need one more. 3 for each on the right. And 51,700, the sellout attendance at the Aviva for this contest. It has been a great crowd, a great atmosphere. And you'd assume that quite a few of the ones wearing the red kits are going to be travelling down south with the team. Well, not literally on the same plane, but they will be having similar flight times, heading to Oz to experience the tour as well. The championship is going to be spectacular, says Reflecting Trees, and Pumas on the ball, says Ruth. Now 11 minutes left. Even in Rugby Sevens, Argentina has gone from strength to strength, says Gerhard. Now Thomas Williams to put the ball in, and I do think that the Lions' attack has looked a little bit more strong since he's made his way onto the field. Now Sione Tuipilotu, little channel. It was almost an accidental obstruction there, or tackle off the ball on Marcus Smith, which does mean Mac Hansen, he wasn't able to go again, 15 metres out. Now Tuipilotu passes across Daly, lurking in the middle. Pops it up to Ronan Kelleher. Pierre Schoolman trying to go through, 10 metres out from the try line now for the Lions. If they score, they take the lead. Argentina, I don't think there's an advantage against them at the moment. They have to try and really avoid giving away any sort of infringement here. Ben Earl trying to go over the top of Sinti. And the penalty note, they will go back for an initial advantage that I must have missed. Vehicles ref says Blues Day. Oh, that's the Marcus Smith one, actually. That's way back, isn't it? And Kamanagi says Dan, and a big obstruction by the Lions from Scrum. But I guess that's allowed these days. See, I actually thought that it was going to be a penalty maybe against Elliot Daly for obstructing in front of the initial. They had a bit of a pod situation for off the back of the scrum, and about 4 backs ran, and Elliot Daly made contact with one of the players trying to tackle the man with the ball. But then it was the Marcus Smith clean-out or take-out that they did penalise. So now Finn Smith will once again kick this one towards the sideline. Pumas tackling defence, come on, says Ruth. 100% Lyle, some attractive rugby will be awesome, says Dan. And the British Lions is going to win. And the British Lions play against South Africa. They did back in 2021. South Africa won that tour 2-1 in the end scores. And don't want the Argies to win, says Bruce. That one's going to be overthrown, though, once again by the Lions. Their line-out has been in shambles for this match, which is weird because it's Tyke Burden receiving the ball from Ronan Kelleher. Oh, drop ball at the back from Tommy Freeman, too. It goes from bad to worse for this young Lions team. But yeah, Kelleher to Burn, something that works for Ireland 99, or maybe not 99, but 90% of the time, not working here. And then the first combination, Maro Itoje receiving the ball from Luke Cowan-Dickey, also just not really working. Only a draw 20 years ago, says I'm nutty. Is it hammering down with rain or 90% humidity? How many years? It's about 22 degrees Celsius, someone said earlier on. So I think it's actually a really nice day. I'm not sure of the humidity level. And of course, we are now into the evening stage of this contest. But Itoje, he will be taken off the field. And it's going to be for Scott Cummings of Scotland. In 2009, won by South Africa 2-1 also, says Dan. As the Pumas beaten the Lions before, and someone just said that it was a draw. And Focus Boys says, Lyle, 8 minutes remaining in this contest. You just wonder, what's the big call going to be? Is it going to be a break in the line for Argentina that leads to another try that I'm sure would have many Puma supporters on their feet? Or will the Lions find a way back into it? We have there irrespective of who wins. This hasn't been a classic. Don't think many people will be telling their grandchildren about this game. I mean, it's definitely like as a warm-up game for a British and Irish Lions tour. Normally it doesn't get a lot of mention once the tour gets underway. But yeah, the fact that Argentina have been competitive in this game, I think, is a massive feather in their cap. But the even bigger feather, of course, would be to get the win. Farrell getting sweaty. I'm sure he'll be nervous. So will the players out there on the field. A few mistakes starting to come from the Lions. In fact, not even just starting to come. They've been happening all throughout the game. That's knocked on by Pablo Matera. Will now be scrum feed for the Lions yet again. Argie's bottler at the def, says Jonathan. And Lions look super rusty. First game jitters. I'd say so. There's been a lot of indecision in terms of the players haven't really linked up that nicely at times. The crowd Chanting loud though. Pick and go, lads. Let's go. And we have got there. Is there a team made out of South African, New Zealand, Australia players? They need to do a tour like British and Irish Lions. There is not a team. We are going to get to see an ANZ side up against the British and Irish Lions. That's about as close as we've had, though, in that regard. An Anzac team. Lions bench over the Pumas bench. Faster, stronger, more experienced is on the right. And yeah, there was a massive difference. As soon as Thomas Williams made his way onto the field for Alex Mitchell, it seemed to add a lot more for their attack side of things, and they did score pretty close to after that. 6.5 minutes remaining. Just getting a little bit of medical attention. One of the Argentine forwards. It is going to be the scrum feed for the Lions. A 3-pointer would not win them this game. They do need a try. Andy Farrell, he looks almost a bit stoic. He looks nervous, to be fair. Knows that it's going to be important. They get the victory here just to get off on the right direction. Showing Owen Farrell up on the screen. Relatively just cheering for that man, by the sounds of it. Not too many boos, which is great to hear. Do the Lions look tired? I'm hoping. I would say no. I think they still look fresh because they've made so many mistakes that have just kind of stopped the game in its tracks. You know, we've had quite a few scrums. Zero, the RGs are telling their grandkids about this one. Says Tai Nui. Pay the New Zealand Rugby Union a few million and they'll consider it. Says Studs Ray, too much movement at scrum time. They're going to go back for another one and go the RG says choose world. And we have got their stoic, good word, mate. Says Red. Now 5.5 minutes left. This time is ticking down quickly, but you just feel like something else is going to happen. So my question, ladies and gents, I feel like there are two things that could. It's either Argentina score a breakaway try or the Lions eventually get that try that wins them this game. Which of those two do we think will happen? Scoreboard time was frozen and just caught up. I feel like I lost 10 minutes of the game instantly. Says on the right. We have there, who would you pick as your number 10 for a South African, New Zealand and Australia team? Depends on who else you got on that back line, I would say. I said you wanted a close game, and that is certainly what we've had. An advantage now to the Lions. Slip there from Finn Smith. This back line just don't seem to be getting along for the Lions. Lions certainly aren't on top here, says Ruth. And also no way Zan don't come on the line, says Mohaddin, and Farrell is jittery. And also 65 minutes is reflecting trees. I don't know, Hamish. I can't see the game. I'm nervous, says Mikhail. Right, kicked right into the corner. That is a good one for the Lions. 4.5 minutes remaining. In fact, Elliot Daly a bit disappointed with that. It's not as close to the corner as he would have liked. It's probably only about 8 or 10 metres out. And come on the Pumas, says Napia there. It would be massive for Argentine rugby if they can start their year off with a win over the Lions. Of course, they are going head-to-head with England in 2 matches just around the corner for their July internationals and then facing Uruguay. But the rolling maul of the Lions. They have already had a penalty try in this match. Argentina trying to defend it. It's sacked legally, they say, which does mean the ball is available. Thomas Williams. There's too many players trying to tell Williams where to go there. Finn Smith was saying go to the forwards. The forwards were saying go to the backs. Finn Smith's got the pointy finger. He's going like that towards the breakdown. Oh, that's a bit illegal from Martin Gonzalez trying to kick that ball out of the back of the breakdown. It's something that Argentina have tried a couple times in this match. It was successful for the last try that they were able to score, but now pick and go from the Lions. Probability of Pumas winning a Rugby World Cup. Honestly, they're getting a long way in the right direction. That's a knock-on from Ty Burn, but the penalty going the way of the British and Irish Lions. That was for hands on the ground from Argentina. This game could go both ways. Position of the ball right now, currently 7 metres out from the line, and the Lions. Oh. Oh. Oh, wow. They're going to go upstairs in the TMO. Neck roll against Ty Burn. So the penalty goes the way of Argentina. Come on, Argentina, don't piss it away now, says Randomly Factual. Are we? Says Blues Nate, but that is a massive, massive call. Tyg Burn with the clear neck roll, they've said. He gets the head of the number 19. It is illegal. The Lions got plenty of work on. They've got a lot that they need to get right before heading to Oz. Although the benefit is those matches up against Australia, they are a wee way away. They'll have time to gel as a unit. But I don't think Andy Farrell will be too quick to put this side back out on the field in the near future. I think the changes will be made when you get those guys from the Premiership as well as Leinster back in the mix. It could make all the difference. Overturn, says Ander. Yep. So the TMO came in, changed the penalty to 1 in favour of Argentina. And they have now got themselves a line out 38 metres out from their own line. Overthrown line out though, but it sits up for Thomas Albanos. And up to Southerners, says Blues Nate. Just the 2 minutes remaining. Tomorrow, the Chiefs and Crusaders. Who do you support? I'm just hoping it's a good game. Like, as long as it's a good final, I'll be a happy man. Oh, knocked on by Tommy Freeman. No, in fact, they said it's gone backwards, nice and cleaned up by Santiago Herreras. Now, just 100 seconds remaining. And Argentina, they are in position here. Argie's looking good for the first hit out. Says J-Link, yeah, massive shift put in by this Argentine side. They've got out of it relatively injury-free as well. All right, Lions told to get out of there. Looks like Argentina, they are going to kick this one, which means that 90 seconds left on the clock. It will be in the hands of the Lions. And Tommy Freeman, great take under the high ball. Pablo Matera trying to get in the breakdown, not quite able to do so. Pierre Scrum takes the contact. There was a tackle off the ball. Let's play on just for now. Now Finn Smith goes to Marcus Smith. Skip pass out to Sione. Tuipulotu moves up to the halfway line. Long way to go for the Lions. 50 metres in 50 seconds. Ty Furlong, big contact with Thomas Albanos. Last chance, boys, run it. They are going backline movement. Mac Hansen towards the sideline, has to cut back inwards so that he isn't driven out. 40 seconds remaining. One of the players down for Argentina in back play. So theoretically, he's got back up to his feet, but he's not 100%. Argentina playing with 14.5, and there's a penalty advantage for offside in favour of the Lions. Ball's not out. Thomas Williams back across to the right again. The ball was almost stolen. They will go back for the original penalty. This is killing me, says Mikhail. And fantastic game. Come on, the Pumas. Says Studs Rays. All right, this isn't the place, but shout out to the Proteas. Says Lyle, of course, winning that World Test Championship up against Australia. Yeah, not a huge amount of arms there. Coming from, in fact, from either man, really. Okay, they've actually decided that they want to go for the offside next to the sideline, but there was going to be the penalty going against the number 17, Boris Wenger. Didn't have a lot of arms involved in that tackle. Been saying it for years. Euro teams and box have benefited from the rules. Says Sports Unfiltered. As soon as rules go back to actual rugby, Euro and South Africa will struggle. And go Argentina go, says Carlos there. A TMO looking with eagle eyes, hoping to spot anything, says Xander, but that one's gone into touch. The Lions 20 metres out from the line, and we are past the full-time siren, which does mean that if there is a mistake made, Argentina will win this game. That is a mistake made by the Lions. We got a donation from Blues Nate. Thank you very much, mate. Greatly appreciated for your generosity there. And Argentina, 4 points difference, a try. Would do it. Why did they kick it? They felt like 90 seconds trying to do it from only about 30 metres out from their line was too long. Plus, they haven't been bad under the high ball, so they probably thought that they'd have half a chance of retaining it. Furlong should get rear carded in 6 weeks, leading with the elbow to the head. Here's Razor Robinson. Looks like he's going off for an HIA after getting hit in his head. Tyg Furlong. That's called beer money. Says a Blues Nate there. So we do see Finley Billum, who will make his way back out onto the field to replace Furlong. Let's hold on, Pumas, says Ruth, and win the Blues. Says zero connection there, but we are close. to the end of this game, ladies and gents. Anyone who is new, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, as we are going to be covering plenty of the British and Irish Lions tour. Alongside that, we are also going to be doing Super Rugby's final between the Crusaders and the Chiefs. That has taken place just around the corner. Lineout retained. It's not a maul, which does mean Argentina have to roll out of there. 22 metres out from the line. Pierre Scrum. Now 20. Oh, Tyg Byrne might have an injured knee by the looks of that. He is down at the moment. Still the Bulls. Pumas. Says reflecting along his 40 minutes, says Carlos. Now off to the left-hand side. They're going towards the injured player. Looks like they're going to try and move away from him now, the Lions, or else they would have to go to the scrum. In fact, if they went to the scrum, I don't think they would play it, would they? I think it would just be the end of the game. Marcus Smith goes off to Tom Curry, trying to break his way through. Once again, the Pumas trying to get that steal in the breakdown. 40 metres out from the line with Pierre Scrum. A big turnover could be coming for the Argentines, or a big drop ball for the Lions, or perhaps they can get a try. Marcus Smith, 82 minutes through this matchup. Finn Smith, oh, what great hands from Scott Cummings. It was almost out of the big man's grasp, but he reined it in. Now Tui Pilotu gets through another tackle. It is a methodical build here for the Lions as they look for that chance. Rodrigo Isgro steals the ball off Henry Pollock and he kicks it into touch. Argentina get themselves the win over the British and Irish Lions. What a moment for this Pumas side, a side that were considered underdogs heading into this game, who stepped up to the plate, who made the most of the British and Irish Lions' mistakes, who showed pace down the wing, power up front. And there is a huge amount of disappointment on the face of this Lions side, as they now have to sit on a plane ride that will take what will feel like an eternity to get to Australia and try and work out what exactly did go wrong. Excellent commentary, Hamish. Thank you, says Gerard in Southern Hemisphere. Up, good work, Pumas. And Argentina, Southern Hemisphere, says Roz. And we have there, well, congrats, Pumas, says Zand. And fantastic, says Napia. An excellent game, says Carlos. And Paul Pollock had a shocking, unfortunately, made a mistake that led to a Pumas try and then had the last ball stolen off him to have it into touch. But the good news was he was confident on the sideline. So hopefully he continues that throughout the rest of the tour. We have got the return to mediocrity for Euro and South African rugby, says Sports Unfiltered. An amazing end because the guy who kicked it out as one of the men I have money on to score a try, says on the right. And fantastic, says Reflecting Trees and Vamos Los Boomers, says Scott David George there. And Rosa Red North has a big mouth. The balance of power will remain in the south, says Randomly Factual. And we have good there. Thanks for the stream, Hamish. Enjoy the weekend all. Says Zero Connection. And of course, the next game that we are going to be doing on the channel is that Crusaders versus Chiefs game, taking place in only 10 hours' time. We are, of course, going to be live on the channel for that matchup as well. What we will quickly do is get a scoreboard going so that we can put the full-time score in this match, which, anyone who's just tuning in now, it was none other than a massive Argentine win. They conceded 2 early tries in the second half. It looked like it was a little bit shaky with that yellow card, but from there, they got back into it and they managed to get themselves the win. We have got there, well done the Pumas. Cheers for the commentary, says Kevin. No worries at all. And we are going to be doing a little bit of a post-match review of it. We have got Rugby Itch coming back, so be sure to hang around. We have got there was at least an 8 out of 10 game. Most of us wanted Argentina to win. They almost didn't. Great game altogether, says Xander. And we have got there, why are you commentating this, says the What's Up guys. I assume because it's, like, are you saying because it's a Northern Hemisphere versus Southern Hemisphere game? It just makes sense to cover. I think we pretty much cover everything else on the channel. No way should the Pumas have been underdogs. No hate, but the Lions too many mediocre English, says Shiny Warm. And there'll be a few happy people who took that $6 underdog bet on the Pumas. But nonetheless, Rugby Itch, we will bring him in and we will ask the question. Well, Pumas, they were able to get themselves the victory. There were a couple shaky moments in there, but still managing to get the job done. First of all, second half probably, did it start the way you anticipated, or was it the complete opposite of what we expected?
I think it's kind of what I said when we were talking about half time. I expected the Lions to kind of come into the second half really kind of into it, kind of wanted to get back into the game. And that's kind of exactly what they did. And to be fair, the yellow cards kind of came into their favor, really, with that kind of yellow card that Argentina got early on, and they took full advantage of it. So I think the Lions actually played pretty well, actually, for the opening 20 minutes of that second half. It was really more when Argentina got that try that kind of just broke their confidence, because like, whoa, okay, they're actually still in this, and they're actually going to challenge us to the end. So yeah, it was definitely. Look, it was a good game of rugby at the end of the day. From a neutral standpoint, very good game of rugby. I think both teams played well. I just think it comes down towards the discipline. I think that's kind of let both teams down. I mean, you saw that last one through tag bird. I mean, you can't be really doing that when you're in prime position to score. So it's like those moments that can really kind of define a game. But yeah, no, good game overall.
Yeah, and I do think that the handling as well will be something that both of these sides look at, as there were a lot of errors in that department. It just seemed like the cohesion of the backline for the Lions just wasn't quite where it wanted to be. And of course, that will happen when it's your first game together as a side. And I do think there will be a lot of changes throughout that Australian leg of the tour, which is pretty much the whole tour, isn't it? Let's be honest. So, yeah, 9 more games, a lot of time to be able to right those wrongs. But there were some shining lights, I would say, for this British and Irish Lions team. There were some players who did look like they were the real deal. I thought that Thomas Williams off the bench did seem to really control that game as soon as he made his way on. And I do think a couple of those forwards, Tom Curry, for instance, with the exception of his random offloading that seemed to always go to an Argentine, his work in the breakdown seemed to be relatively solid. It was as if he was aiming at them, though, wasn't it? Because every single time it just seemed to be, oh, Curry's offloading, oh, Curry's giving the ball straight to one of the Pumas.
And to be fair, when Albanese did that fake, like, it was Curry who fell for it. And I was just like, oh my gosh, Curry he just fell flat on his face. Like, because Albanese just sold him a dummy and kind of started that kind of try in the second half. So yeah, he had his moments for sure. I'll definitely say that. But it's interesting because the Lions have so much depth that they can rely on. It's just more that you got to find the right combination. And we have to remember, this is only the first game really for the Lions. So they're going to get better and better as it goes on. I mean, like, if you want to go back into the history books, like if you look back to like 2017 when they played, New Zealand, like they lost some of their opening games early on actually against the clubs. Like they lost to they lost their first game. Well, they actually beat like a Pacific team, and then they lost to the Blues, and they beat the Crusaders, and then they lost to like the I think it was like the Hurricanes or something. So it's like they can go back and forth, but it's really more about finding that combination that really works when it comes towards the most important tests, which is against the Wallabies in this case. So look, I'm excited. I'm excited. They have a good squad going. It just depends on the combinations that they can kind of choosing the right ones really.
And I do think that there's definitely some positives out of it for both sides. I do like now that they're heading to Australia with that loss under the belt, just because now it's kind of, they've had that and now they can step up. And I feel like that's the type of story that, of course, the media love to play into, is like, oh, terrible Lions.
I can see the documentary happening already.
I
can see it. I can see it like, oh, there's the loss from the starts, but then they rise and they go to Australia and win all their games. That's what they want. But I'm gonna tell you guys very quickly, they're not gonna do that. They're not gonna do that. I can see a lot of comments agreeing with me, by the way. The Wallabies, you can't count the Wallabies out. They're gonna do some damage. I mean, they play against. You're gonna have to remind me here because I haven't looked at the schedule in a long time. But they play the Force, right? There you go.
You might have to lean a little tiny bit.
Yes. It will be interesting because I think the Force, they've got a good team. I think they're very underrated actually in how that can actually be a big game in terms of how it goes along. I honestly can see the Force doing well there. Like it's that may sound surprising, but they have to play. I mean, if they have all the players that you think, then yeah. And then Queensland should be tough. Waratahs, they should, beat easily, I think. And then Brumbies will be, I think it can go either way. Yeah, it'll be good.
Well, the thing with the Western Force as well is they haven't lost a huge amount of players to that Wallaby squad, which does mean that they're still going to be in that similar scenario as they were in Super Rugby, that, not many teams enjoyed going to Perth to play up against the Western Force. It was a bit of a struggle. You've got Kurtley Beale will be in there as one of the more veteran guys for them. I do know that they've lost a couple of their really decent young players, though.
Yeah, I mean,
for the force, but
yeah.
I mean, it will be a balancing act for this British and Irish Lions side. I do think, though, in terms of that mention about how, of course, the Lions now have that opportunity to right those wrongs. Argentina, this is such a massive win for them
It's awesome.
because, they're a side that with the win here, of course, you can talk about their rugby for 2025, but could you also say that with winning this game, I know it wasn't the full strength British and Irish Lions squad per se because of the Leinster guys and the Gallagher Premiership guys out, but could you argue a British and Irish Lions tour to Argentina could one day be a thing that we do get to experience again?
I've always said this. It actually should be, and you have to also think about the other side as well. This isn't Argentina's best team as well. They also had players missing here who would easily make the starting lineup. Like they didn't have Choco Barris, for example, who's probably one of the best 12s in the world. So like it's one of those where they should definitely go to Argentina because I mean I think Argentina arguably has one of the best kind of like. They can create that environment really nicely. I think the only problem with including Argentina with it is more, I guess, one from a travel standpoint, it may cost a lot for the fans. I guess coming from from England and all that, from the United Kingdom, I mean, but also just I guess trying to promote it, really promoting it within Argentina. I think that's the other thing that we have to account for. But I do think Argentina have a good fan base, I think, for rugby. I mean, they've always had that good fan base. I mean, I particularly know that because I always have a good kind of I always have an appreciation for Argentina and just they're kind of their fans. So I think they would go for it. I think Argentina definitely have the capability. It just comes down towards, I guess, money. It's really more about the money, I guess, at the end of the day when it comes to rugby. Like if it's feasible.
And I think that the trickier part as well is working out who else they would play. Like we were trying to do a bit of brainstorming during the live stream and working out maybe Uruguay, maybe Chile, couple of sides. And I mentioned about perhaps you have maybe the USA and Canada travel down.
I was going to say, you're going to have to include them in
market.
Yeah. But see, the problem though with it though is that I do think you would have to include another game though, like maybe get like not talking in the context of like the North Americas, but like maybe like getting a team from, I don't know, maybe South Africa in a way to come down, or maybe like a combination of like some kind of like combined team with something. I wouldn't know what to say at the moment because I don't think it should be like a Pacific nations kind of combined team because at the end of the day, that's for Australia and New Zealand. I think it has to be something more like of a, I don't know, like a, maybe a South African, but something along those lines, but maybe other nations involved, but I don't know. It would be interesting to see how it worked, but again, that's kind of thinking long term because, there's a lot of rugby to be played.
There is. I wonder whether or not to try and really draw eyes from different countries, whether you let the Springboks, Wallabies, and All Blacks pick their squads for their internationals, and then you say anyone else outside of that's now eligible to travel over. And you make like a combined Southern Lions team that people have been asking for, but don't have them as a whole tour. They just play a one-off or two matches. Maybe that draws in the Sanzar side of the equation a little bit more, but it will be intriguing, that's for sure. Is this guy their player, man of the match? Yeah, he is. Tim just out there on the field.
Yeah, man of the match right here.
No. Who would you give man of the match to?
Oh, Albanos, man. He was like by far the man match for me. I just thought he controlled that 10 spot so nicely. Like he just, he was so good in the game. He's such an underrated player. I mean, like people don't appreciate how. I mean, everyone talks about Santiago Bucaceres. Like, yes, he's a great player, but trust me, Albanos, he is. Yeah, he's very, very good. So I'm excited because like they play England, I believe, right, for 2 tests within the summer. So that should be good for them. There you go. And Uruguay, comfortable win there, and 2 comfortable wins against England, hopefully. But
you think? Yeah, I think they're going to go 2 from 2.
Hey,
well,
they're at home.
They're at home as well, so it should make it a little bit easier for Los Pumas. Although they are starting to prove that they can play pretty well away from home as well with some of the results.
That's what they're known. I mean, that's what they're getting known for, I would say. Like in the past few years, like I think that it was that first win. I mean, again, this is like a technicality, but their first away win was in Australia when they beat the All Blacks for the first time. But really the first big win was when they actually beat the All Blacks in Christchurch. That was like the definitive win right there. And then again, was there another time I guess they beat in England at Twickenham? That was one time they did it. I can recall they did it there. It was a pretty good win. But
well, they almost beat Ireland last November, didn't they?
That's true. Yeah,
Which they were just inches away.
But they haven't beaten Scotland. I think in Murrayfield for a while. They haven't beaten France, I believe. They always had good contests, but France always have the edge over them. So yeah, they still need to do a bit more, I guess. But no, I think they're still. I mean, look, Argentina are a great side. It's kind of what the commentary team has said at the very start. Like, you have to remember, Argentina is like according to World Rugby rankings and I guess how well they did at the previous World Cup, they're the 4th best team in the world. So it's one of those where you can't really underrate them. Like, they're a very good team. It's just that there are some players in there, like I said with Albinos, where people don't kind of understand how good of a player they are, like in terms of like what they do in terms of the international stage, particularly for their team. So yeah, they got some good players, man. Good players.
And the good news is we get to see them in action in only a couple more weeks' time. All the internationals starting up for July in the very near future. The Box in action next week up against the Barbarians.
Yeah,
Australia playing Fiji early July as well, so we'll be keeping an eye on all those matches. New Zealand, France, the list goes on. Ooh. Nonetheless, we do thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. We are going to be covering the British and Irish Lions tour on the channel. We might have Tim popping in every now and again.
We'll
Potentially, we'll see what happens.
We'll see.
But nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for being here. I will see you all for the next one.